the ultimate blueprint for mastering your mind. Imagine possessing the ability to think with absolute clarity, make decisions with unwavering confidence, and influence your future with the sheer power of your mind. What if the secret to success wasn't just about hard work or luck, but about how you think? Napoleon Hill, the legendary author of Think and Grow Rich, presents How to Own Your Own Mind, a deep dive into the mechanics of powerful thinking. This isn't just another self-help book. It's a masterclass in developing the kind of mental discipline that shapes great leaders, entrepreneurs, and visionaries. Through thought-provoking lessons and real-world applications, Hill reveals the art of definitive thinking, how to eliminate doubt and make decisions with confidence, the power of controlled attention. Focus your mind like a laser to achieve extraordinary results. The science of influence. Persuade and lead others with clarity and conviction. Based on conversations with billionaire industrialist Andrew Carnegie, this book distills timeless wisdom that has propelled some of the world's most successful people to greatness. If you've ever wondered how the most accomplished minds operate or how you can unlock your own potential, this book holds the answers. Are you ready to take full ownership of your mind and create the life you desire? Turn the page and step into a world of limitless possibility. Napoleon Hill's Mental Dynamite presents a structured and principle-driven approach to personal achievement, drawing from decades of research into the habits and mindsets of successful individuals. The book's teaching style blends storytelling, philosophical insight, and practical application, creating a compelling guide for readers seeking to master their own minds and take control of their destinies. Storytelling approach. Hill's work is deeply rooted in a narrative framework. The foundation of Mental Dynamite comes from his life-changing interview with Andrew Carnegie in 1908, where the steel magnate introduced him to the principles of success and challenged him to study them in great depth. This historical encounter serves as the starting point for the book, allowing readers to experience the wisdom of Carnegie through Hill's perspective. By using dialogue between Carnegie and his younger self, Hill makes abstract principles more relatable and engaging. Each chapter weaves together three elements. 1. Carnegie's direct teachings, drawn from Hill's early interviews with him. 2. Hill's commentary, written decades later with added reflection and real-world applications. 3. Case studies and examples, showcasing how successful individuals have applied these principles in various fields. This layered approach creates a dynamic learning experience, reinforcing key lessons through multiple perspectives. Teaching style. Hill's methodology is a mix of logical analysis, motivational coaching, and structured self-improvement. His writing is designed to be both instructive and inspiring, encouraging readers to take immediate action while also providing a deep intellectual foundation. 1. Conceptual breakdown and logical flow. Each chapter focuses on a fundamental principle: creative vision, organized thought, and controlled attention. Hill introduces theoretical concepts first, then explains them in detail using structured arguments, diagrams, and logical reasoning. 2. Practical application. Hill emphasizes action over theory. He continuously reminds readers that knowledge without application is meaningless. He provides real-world examples and exercises to help readers integrate each principle into their daily lives. The inclusion of diagrams and charts in organized thought reinforces the idea that success is a structured and intentional process. 3. Psychological insights. Hill explores how the mind works, discussing the roles of imagination, habit formation, social conditioning, and reasoning, both inductive and deductive. He stresses the importance of reprogramming one's mindset through discipline and focused thought. 4. Historical and contemporary examples. The book includes stories of great industrialists, inventors, and entrepreneurs who successfully applied these principles. Testimonials from successful figures add credibility and relatability to Hill's teachings. 5. Philosophical and societal reflections. Hill extends his principles beyond personal success, discussing their impact on society, democracy, and free enterprise. He contrasts the outcomes of disciplined, independent thinking with the dangers of collectivist and unfocused mindsets. Core takeaway. Mental Dynamite teaches that success is a result of structured thinking, focused attention, and deliberate action. By mastering these mental principles, individuals can define their purpose, recognize opportunities, and take meaningful steps toward their goals. The power of thought, mental dynamite. The power with which we think is mental dynamite, and it can be organized and used constructively for the attainment of definite ends. If it is not organized and used through controlled habits, it may become a mental explosive that will literally blast one's hopes of achievement and lead to inevitable failure. By Andrew Carnegie. Imagine your mind as a powerful force, like dynamite. Just as dynamite can be used to construct roads and tunnels or cause destruction, your thoughts have the same potential. Andrew Carnegie reminds us that the way we organize and control our thoughts determines whether they build us up or tear us down. Organized thinking, success. When we discipline our thoughts, directing them toward clear goals, planning our actions, and developing productive habits, we create constructive energy. This energy fuels progress, helps us overcome challenges, and brings us closer to success. Disorganized thinking, destruction. On the other hand, when our thoughts are scattered, negative, or uncontrolled, they become destructive energy. Instead of moving us forward, they sabotage our efforts, leading to frustration and failure. Key lesson: control your mental power. Your mind is a powerful tool. If you train it with purpose, it will work for you, helping you achieve your dreams. If you let it run unchecked, it can work against you. So ask yourself, are my thoughts leading me toward success or holding me back? How can I better organize my thinking to reach my goals? By mastering your mind, you master your future. Use your mental dynamite wisely. The power of creative vision. A lesson from Andrew Carnegie and Napoleon Hill. It was a crisp evening in 1908 when young Napoleon Hill found himself in the private study of Andrew Carnegie, one of the greatest industrialists of all time. Carnegie, a man of wisdom and experience, sat comfortably in his chair, ready to impart a lesson that would shape the philosophy of success for generations to come. Hill, with his notebook open and pen poised, asked, "Mr. Carnegie, you have often spoken of creative vision as a fundamental principle of achievement. Could you explain what you mean by it?" Carnegie smiled and leaned forward. Creative vision is not just imagination. It is the ability to recognize opportunities where others see none and to take decisive action to transform those opportunities into reality. While imagination is an essential tool, creative vision is its refined and purposeful application. Hill nodded eagerly. How does one develop this ability? To answer that, Carnegie continued, we must first distinguish between two types of imagination, synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination involves combining existing ideas in new ways. It is how most innovations occur. Creative imagination, on the other hand, produces entirely new ideas, seemingly out of thin air. It is the wellspring of groundbreaking discoveries. Carnegie then illustrated his point with the story of Thomas Edison, a man whose relentless pursuit of discovery embodied both forms of imagination. Edison's incandescent light bulb, one of the most revolutionary inventions in history, was not the result of a single flash of brilliance, but the product of countless trials. He tested over 10,000 different materials before discovering that a carbonized filament, housed in a vacuum, could sustain a steady glow. Hill's eyes widened. 10,000 attempts? That kind of perseverance is remarkable. Indeed, Carnegie agreed. But what's more important is how he arrived at his solution. The principle of the vacuum, which prevents combustion, was well known. Edison's genius lay in realizing how to apply it to his problem. His subconscious mind, fed with years of persistent effort, eventually handed him the answer in the form of a hunch. Carnegie paused, letting the weight of his words settle in. This is the essence of creative vision. It is the mind's ability to synthesize years of knowledge, failures, and experiences, and then, when least expected, deliver a perfect solution. But it does not come to the idle dreamer. It comes to the one who persistently searches. Hill, deep in thought, asked, "Does that mean that anyone, through effort, can develop this ability?" Carnegie nodded. Absolutely. Every successful business, every great invention, and every transformative idea owes its existence to someone with creative vision. If you want to cultivate it, you must first train your mind to see beyond obstacles and recognize possibilities. Work tirelessly, absorb knowledge, reflect deeply, and trust that your subconscious mind will one day reward you with the key to your greatest achievements. As Hill closed his notebook, he realized that the lesson he had just learned would shape not only his life, but the lives of all who sought to master the principles of success. Wherever prosperity flourished, behind it stood an individual with creative vision. The power of thought, mental dynamite. The power with which we think is mental dynamite, and it can be organized and used constructively for the attainment of definite ends. If it is not organized and used through controlled habits, it may become a mental explosive that will literally blast one's hopes of achievement and lead to inevitable failure. By Andrew Carnegie. Imagine your mind as a powerful force, like dynamite. Just as dynamite can be used to construct roads and tunnels or cause destruction, your thoughts have the same potential. Andrew Carnegie reminds us that the way we organize and control our thoughts determines whether they build us up or tear us down. Organized thinking, success. When we discipline our thoughts, directing them toward clear goals, planning our actions, and developing productive habits, we create constructive energy. This energy fuels progress, helps us overcome challenges, and brings us closer to success. Disorganized thinking, destruction. On the other hand, when our thoughts are scattered, negative, or uncontrolled, they become destructive energy. Instead of moving us forward, they sabotage our efforts, leading to frustration and failure. Key lesson: control your mental power. Your mind is a powerful tool. If you train it with purpose, it will work for you, helping you achieve your dreams. If you let it run unchecked, it can work against you. So ask yourself, are my thoughts leading me toward success or holding me back? How can I better organize my thinking to reach my goals? By mastering your mind, you master your future. Use your mental dynamite wisely. Hill leaned forward, eyes filled with curiosity. Mr. Carnegie, he said, from what you have described, I gather that persistence was the cornerstone of Mr. Edison's success in discovering the solution to his problem. Carnegie nodded, a knowing smile playing upon his lips. Indeed, persistence played a crucial role, but it was not the only factor. Mr. Edison embarked on his research with a definiteness of purpose, one of the most vital principles of personal achievement. He knew what he sought, and he was unwavering in his determination to find it. This certainty of purpose became an obsession, a force so strong that it wiped out doubt and fear, allowing faith to take its place. Through more than 10,000 failures, he stood firm, his mind fortified by faith. Hill pondered for a moment before asking, did Mr. Edison rely solely on creative imagination in all his inventions, as he did with the incandescent lamp? Oh no, Carnegie replied. Many of his inventions were born through synthetic imagination, the trial and error method of experimentation. But there was one invention he crafted solely through creative imagination, the phonograph. No one before him had built a machine to record and reproduce sound. Hill's eyes widened. How did he achieve that? Carnegie leaned forward. The process was remarkably simple. He impressed upon his subconscious mind the idea of a talking machine. Then, as if by a flash of inspiration, his conscious mind received a complete plan. He quickly sketched it, handed it to his model maker, and in a few hours the first phonograph was created. And it worked. Crude though it was proof that his creative imagination had not failed him. Hill was fascinated. So Edison simply planted the idea in his mind, and his subconscious delivered the solution? Precisely, Carnegie confirmed. He fueled his mind with an obsessional desire for a talking machine. His thoughts revolved around it constantly until his subconscious mind took hold of the idea and worked out the details. Is that how the conscious and subconscious minds connect? Hill asked eagerly. Carnegie nodded. Yes, and this is why I emphasize the importance of cultivating burning desires. A mere wish does nothing, but an intense, obsessional desire seeps into the subconscious and is acted upon with unwavering faith. Hill, now deeply engaged, asked, if repetition is key, why is that so? Carnegie explained. Because repetition forms thought habits. The mind becomes accustomed to working on ideas even without conscious effort. The subconscious prioritizes thoughts that have become ingrained habits, particularly those charged with strong emotion and desire. Hill considered this, then asked, So anyone can use creative imagination by training their subconscious mind with definite desires? Yes, but discipline is required, Carnegie cautioned. Only those who control their thought habits through concentration and desire will see results. Fleeting thoughts and half-hearted wishes make no impression on the subconscious. To illustrate his point, Carnegie shared the story of Henry Ford. Ford saw a steam tractor hauling a threshing machine, and from that moment, his mind worked obsessively on the idea of a horseless carriage. At first, he applied synthetic imagination, adapting known principles to his vision. But as his obsession grew, his subconscious mind suggested a new approach, an internal combustion engine. Step by step, guided by his relentless desire, he solved each problem until the automobile was born. Hill listened intently. So Ford succeeded by maintaining definiteness of purpose, persistence, and faith? Carnegie smiled. Exactly. His success was a testament to knowing what he wanted and refusing to surrender. His story is a powerful lesson in perseverance. To drive the lesson home, Carnegie recounted the tale of Alexander Graham Bell, who sought to help his hearing-impaired wife and stumbled upon the principle of the telephone. Like Edison and Ford, Bell was motivated by a deep and personal purpose that became an obsession. His subconscious mind led him to the discovery that revolutionized communication. Shifting from invention to business, Carnegie told Hill of a telegraph operator who used his spare time to sell watches via the telegraph network. When he was fired for his side business, he turned adversity into opportunity, launching the first great mail-order house in America. His success came not from inventing something new, but from applying an old idea in a novel way. Hill marveled at the many forms imagination could take. So even synthetic imagination, when applied effectively, can lead to great achievements? Absolutely, Carnegie affirmed. Take the refrigerator railroad car. A simple idea, putting an icebox on wheels, revolutionized the meatpacking and produce industries. The sleeping car followed the same principle, combining beds with train coaches to create an entirely new service. These ideas came not from creating new materials, but from seeing old ones in new ways. Hill asked, "What principles do people most commonly use when applying imagination?" Carnegie listed them. Definiteness of purpose is paramount. The profit motive is a powerful driver of imagination. The mastermind principle, where minds collaborate in harmony, stimulates new ideas. Going the extra mile encourages innovative thinking. Applied faith is essential for creative imagination, as only those who believe in their ideas will persist in pursuing them. Finally, organized individual endeavor ensures that imagination is transformed into action. Hill nodded, understanding at last the great secret of success. So to achieve anything, one must have a burning desire, persistence, faith, and the ability to use imagination, whether creative or synthetic, to bring ideas to life. Carnegie smiled. That, my dear Hill, is the foundation upon which all great achievements are built. And with that, the conversation that would inspire countless individuals to shape their destinies came to a close, leaving behind timeless wisdom for all who dared to dream and act upon their desires. Throughout history, imagination has been the driving force behind innovation, survival, and success. While there are countless sources of inspiration that ignite the imagination, 5 stand out as essential catalysts. One of the most powerful and paradoxical triggers of imagination is fear. When a person is in danger, their mind can perform seemingly superhuman feats, crafting solutions that might otherwise seem impossible. A shipwrecked sailor, for instance, might fashion a flotation device from debris in mere moments, ideas forming faster than conscious thought. However, fear can also paralyze, trapping the mind in hesitation and inaction. The key lies in channeling fear constructively, using it as a spark rather than a shackle. Failure, too, is a double-edged sword. While some allow setbacks to crush their spirit, others harness them as a springboard for creativity. Thomas Edison's journey in developing the light bulb is a classic example. He viewed each failure not as a defeat, but as a lesson, systematically refining his approach until he arrived at success. Those who learn to extract lessons from their failures inevitably become masters of innovation. Master salesmen understand the power of the question method. By posing carefully crafted questions, they compel their audience to think in new ways. A struggling entrepreneur might ask, What would my most successful competitor do in my situation? A question that forces the mind into a new realm of problem solving. The act of questioning directs attention and stimulates creative thinking, making it a formidable tool in any field. Curiosity is another powerful stimulant of imagination. From ancient times, humanity's fascination with the mysteries of life and death has fueled the development of religions, philosophies, and scientific inquiry. Why does the sun rise? What lies beyond the stars? These questions have led to groundbreaking discoveries, proving that curiosity is the seed from which knowledge and invention grow. Then there is self-expression. Whether through writing, speaking, or any form of creative endeavor, the process of organizing thoughts for expression engages the imagination. A child crafting a story must create characters, settings, and plots, activating parts of the brain that would otherwise lie dormant. This is why encouraging free expression in children is crucial for developing their imaginative faculties early on. Beyond these 5 core sources, other factors also play a vital role. Hunger, both literal and metaphorical, is a universal motivator. The desperate need for sustenance or success can drive people to unimaginable lengths of creativity. In the animal kingdom, survival instincts push creatures to adapt in remarkable ways. A man facing poverty might invent a novel business model or uncover hidden talents simply because necessity demands it. Focus and concentration are also fundamental. The great inventors of history, Edison, Bell, and Gates, practiced what one might call sitting for ideas. They dedicated time to deep thought, allowing their imagination to work unhindered. Similarly, scientists form hypotheses, lawyers build cases, and doctors diagnose elusive ailments through hypothetical reasoning. These methods hinge on the ability to direct one's imagination toward a specific goal. A brilliant example of practical imagination occurred after the American Civil War. A foundry owner had purchased a large quantity of unused cannonballs, intending to repurpose the metal. The problem? Breaking them apart was a costly, labor-intensive task. Enter a man with a keen imagination. Noting that the cannonballs were hollow, he simply filled them with water and let the winter cold do the work. Overnight, the frozen water expanded and shattered the cannonballs effortlessly. This stroke of ingenuity saved time and money, leaving the foundry owner to exclaim, "Why didn't I think of that?" In a fascinating conversation between Napoleon Hill and Andrew Carnegie, the topic of imagination's rarity arose. Hill asked why so few people seem to possess a well-developed imagination. Carnegie's response was simple. Imagination, like any muscle, withers if not exercised. Those who neglect it allow it to atrophy, while those who use it grow ever more proficient. Carnegie also illustrated how imagination fuels salesmanship with a remarkable story. A life insurance agent, recovering from an injury that prevented him from performing manual labor, became the top salesman in the country within a year. His secret? He didn't just sell insurance. He sold ideas. When approaching a wealthy lawyer, he presented a mock newspaper headline reading, "Prominent lawyer insures his brains for $1 million." The article, complete with family photos and a compelling narrative, played to the lawyer's desire for prestige. The lawyer, seeing the undeniable publicity value, signed up on the spot. What the agent truly sold was not an insurance policy, it was an insurance policy on vanity. That, Carnegie pointed out, is imagination at its finest. Another masterful example came from Dr. Harper, the former president of the University of Chicago. He needed $1 million endowment for a new building, and he had 2 potential donors in mind, bitter rivals who loathed each other. Instead of asking outright, he approached one and casually mentioned that the university was considering naming the building after his adversary. The prospect of losing such an honor to his rival was too much to bear, and by the next morning, Dr. Harper walked away with $1 million check. His genius lay not just in imagination, but in what Carnegie termed creative vision, the ability to recognize and seize opportunities that others overlook. Hill questioned the distinction between imagination and creative vision, and Carnegie clarified, imagination generates ideas, but creative vision refines and executes them with precision. It is the combination of alertness to opportunity and the will to act that defines those who leave a lasting impact. Ultimately, imagination is not an inherited gift. It is a skill honed through deliberate use. Whether in moments of crisis, failure, curiosity, or ambition, those who cultivate imagination and creative vision shape the world around them. They do not simply dream, they build, they solve, and they achieve. The power of persistence, learning from Thomas Edison's determination. Edison had the persistence to keep on trying in the face of 10,000 failures. By Andrew Carnegie. Thomas Edison demonstrated incredible persistence by continuing to experiment, even after failing 10,000 times. Instead of seeing failure as a defeat, he viewed it as a learning opportunity. His perseverance eventually led to the invention of the practical light bulb. This teaches us an important lesson. Success often comes not from avoiding failure, but from pushing forward despite it. Just like Edison, we should embrace challenges, learn from our mistakes, and keep striving toward our goals. One day, a young man named Thomas, full of ambition but uncertain of his path, sought the wisdom of an elder known for his success. This elder, Mr. Carnegie, was a man who had built vast industries and mentored countless individuals toward prosperity. Sitting across from him was Hill, an eager learner who wished to understand the difference between imagination and true creative vision. Thomas listened intently as Hill asked, "A man may have an incredible imagination in a specialized field, like an inventor or an artist, but still fail to succeed in business. Why is that?" Mr. Carnegie leaned forward, his eyes filled with the weight of experience. "That is because imagination alone is not enough. Many inventors create brilliant devices, but lack the vision and action necessary to bring their inventions to market. Many artists are deeply imaginative, but fail to commercialize their talent. Do you see the distinction?" Hill nodded. "Yes, but what other factors contribute to creative vision?" Mr. Carnegie smiled. "Let me describe the habits of a man who possesses creative vision. Pay close attention, for this overlaps many of the principles of individual achievement." He began to count on his fingers. Alertness to opportunity. A man with creative vision recognizes opportunities that align with his growth and success. Definiteness of purpose. He acts with intention and seizes those opportunities decisively. Organized planning. He does not move blindly, but carefully maps out each step. The mastermind principle. He surrounds himself with knowledgeable and capable individuals to amplify his strength. Applied faith. He removes self-imposed limitations and trusts in the guidance of infinite intelligence. Going the extra mile. He always gives more than expected, attracting greater opportunities. Awareness of others' needs. He understands the desires and problems of people, adapting accordingly. Personal initiative. He does not wait to be told what to do, but moves forward of his own accord. Full responsibility. He takes ownership of his actions and learns from the wisdom of others. The use of imagination. He employs both synthetic and creative imagination, but understands that this is just one part of the whole. These, Carnegie concluded, are the pillars of creative vision. Do you understand the difference now? Hill nodded enthusiastically. Yes, it is clear now. Most people use imagination, but few develop true creative vision. Carnegie continued, exactly. Industrial America, as we know it today, was built by men with creative vision. They did not simply imagine. They acted upon their visions. These men did not destroy, they built. They gave us railroads, skyscrapers, airplanes, electricity, and the finest system of government the world has ever known. Thomas, still deep in thought, asked, "But what causes men to develop creative vision? Is it an inborn trait?" Carnegie shook his head. No, it is driven by motive. Every great leader, every builder of industry has been fueled by a powerful purpose, be it the pursuit of freedom, financial success, or self-expression. America thrives because our system rewards personal initiative. The profit motive is one of the strongest forces for innovation and growth. Hill interjected, "But what happens if people lose their drive for personal initiative?" Carnegie sighed. "That is the danger we must guard against. Some believe that by limiting the work one man does, they create jobs for others. That is a fallacy. A man who limits his service limits his earnings. Men with creative vision never hold back. They give more, and in doing so, they attract abundance." Hill pondered this and asked, "So if our government discouraged personal initiative, it would be disastrous?" "Not just disastrous, tragic," Carnegie responded. The Constitution of the United States was designed to encourage free enterprise and personal growth. Our high standard of living exists because our system rewards those who take initiative. If we ever lose sight of this, we risk weakening the very foundation upon which our success is built. Thomas, eager to grasp the full depth of this wisdom, asked, "So, Mr. Carnegie, do you believe that the success of America is due to our encouragement of creative vision?" Carnegie nodded. "Without a doubt. Read the Constitution. It protects free enterprise and personal initiative. Every great leader, every innovator has used these privileges to create wealth and progress. Take away this privilege, and you take away the spirit that has made America great." Hill leaned in. "I understand that you encourage those in your organization to become wealthy. You rewarded extra effort generously. Why?" Carnegie chuckled. "That's the key. The only way to get men to do their best is to give them a motive that inspires action. Some seek security, others dream of great riches. I helped over 40 men become millionaires because they applied the principles of success. But those who failed because they forgot the principle of going the extra mile. Success led them to believe they should be paid for what they knew rather than what they did. This mistake has been the downfall of many." Thomas, now filled with inspiration, asked, "But aren't there employers who limit how much their workers can earn?" Carnegie smiled. "Yes, but tell me, do any of them ever become truly successful? The greatest leaders help the greatest number of people succeed. The men who built this nation understood this principle well." Hill, reflecting on everything he had learned, posed one final question. "Mr. Carnegie, were the founders of this nation men of creative vision?" Carnegie's eyes gleamed. "They were the greatest statesmen this country has ever known. Without creative vision, they could never have created a constitution that ensures equal rights for all. Today, we have many politicians, but few true statesmen." Thomas asked, "What happened to the great statesmen of the past?" Carnegie sighed. "America has become so rich and free that the pioneering spirit has weakened. People have begun to expect something for nothing. Liberty, which once required sacrifice, has come too easily, making many indifferent." Hill added, "So, people look to Uncle Sam for what they want instead of working for it?" Carnegie nodded gravely. "That is the problem. This will correct itself in time, but only when a crisis forces people to remember that true success comes from giving more, not taking more. Whether through economic hardship or war, people will eventually learn this lesson. A nation cannot thrive if its people refuse to go the extra mile." Hill concluded, "So there is nothing wrong with our system, only with how people are using it?" Carnegie affirmed, "Precisely. The system is sound, but too many violate its principles. Those who understand and apply the rules of creative vision will always rise to the top. That is an unchangeable law of nature." Thomas left that day with a new understanding, ready to apply these lessons to his own life. He realized that imagination alone was not enough. Only through creative vision could he truly shape his destiny. Understanding Milton's insight, the mind within itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. John Milton, one of the greatest English poets, wrote this line in his epic poem Paradise Lost. It carries a deep and powerful lesson about the role of our mindset in shaping our experiences. Breaking down the meaning, the mind within itself, Milton emphasizes that our thoughts and perceptions exist inside us. Our reality is not just shaped by external events, but by how we interpret them. Can make a heaven of hell. A strong, resilient mind can find hope and purpose even in the worst circumstances. This is why some people remain positive despite hardships. A hell of heaven. On the other hand, a negative or troubled mind can turn even the best situation into misery. This explains why some individuals, despite having wealth or success, still feel unfulfilled or unhappy. Real-life application. Imagine two people facing the same challenge, let's say losing a job. One person sees it as a disaster, a hell of heaven, focusing only on the negatives. Another sees it as an opportunity, a heaven of hell, using it as motivation to grow, learn new skills, and seek better opportunities. This idea is also seen in modern psychology. Many studies show that happiness and suffering are not just about circumstances, but about perspective. Our thoughts influence our emotions. which in turn shape our experiences. Key takeaway: Milton teaches us that we are not just passive receivers of life's events. We are active participants in shaping our own reality. By controlling our thoughts and attitudes, we can transform difficulties into growth and blessings into true joy. So, the question to ask yourself is, are you turning your life into a heaven or a hell with your mindset? Hill's eyes gleamed with curiosity as he leaned in and asked, Mr. Carnegie, you have revolutionized the steel industry, bringing down the cost from $130 per ton to just $20. You've made steel the backbone of American progress. How did you manage to outpace all others in your field? Carnegie smiled, his gaze steady. The answer lies in the 10 factors of creative vision, he replied. These principles have guided my every step. Hill, sensing an important lesson, pressed further. So you're saying that you have consistently applied these principles while others have not? Carnegie shook his head. I wouldn't phrase it that way. The difference is persistence. Many understand these principles, but fewer apply them with unwavering dedication. That's where true success is determined. Hill nodded thoughtfully. Then, if I understand correctly, success isn't necessarily about being more talented than others. It's about applying sound principles with greater persistence. Exactly, Carnegie affirmed. The principles of success are as definite as mathematical rules. Some men grasp them and persistently put them into practice, while others do so inconsistently. Naturally, those who persist reap the greatest rewards. Hill's mind turned to a deeper question. I have always been intrigued by the transformation from poverty to wealth. Many of America's wealthiest individuals started with nothing. What is the first step for someone who decides to leave poverty behind and embrace riches? Carnegie's expression grew serious. That is a question broad enough to discuss for a month, but I will give you a clear starting point. First, a man must possess creative vision to recognize the opportunity best suited to him. His goals must align with his skills and the service he can provide in exchange for wealth. Carnegie continued, the next step is crucial, eliminating the fallacy of something for nothing. Many wish for wealth without earning it. That is an illusion. There are no shortcuts. The road to riches is well marked but long and often difficult. This is where most people give up. Hill's eyes brightened. So, success comes through organized preparation? Carnegie nodded. That's right. Let's compare it to farming. A farmer must first clear his land before planting seeds. Likewise, a man must rid his mind of doubts and self-imposed limitations. Then, he must assess his skills and seek a market for his abilities. At this point, a powerful principle comes into play, going the extra mile. No one transitions from poverty to wealth without making a habit of exceeding expectations. Hill absorbed this. And once a man has gained attention for his diligence, Carnegie smiled. Then, he adopts a definite major purpose. He crafts a plan and commits to it. But let me warn you, if a man's sole purpose is to acquire riches, he is likely to be disappointed. Wealth follows those who focus on service rather than money itself. The best way to accumulate riches is to become indispensable through useful service. Hill, eager for more insight, asked, what about those who attempt shortcuts or rely on sheer numbers to demand wealth? Carnegie's expression darkened slightly. Shortcuts exist, but they are perilous. Many who try them end up in prison or worse. Even those who succeed temporarily often lose everything in the end. Wealth gained dishonestly melts away, like snow under a blazing sun. True success requires integrity and the applied golden rule, treating others fairly. Hill reflected on this before posing one final question. If you had to summarize the single most important factor for accumulating riches, what would it be? Carnegie did not hesitate. The ability to negotiate with others while maintaining harmony. Success and failure are rooted in human relationships. A man who gains trust and cooperation has already traveled most of the road to success. The golden rule and going the extra mile are essential for mastering this art. Hill, deeply moved, asked, can anyone argue against these principles? Carnegie chuckled. Only those who desire something for nothing, envy the successful, or seek to undermine the American way of life. But the philosophy itself, it is so fundamentally sound that it defies challenge. Hill's thirst for knowledge remained unquenched. Tell me more about creative vision, Mr. Carnegie. How does it apply in daily life? Carnegie leaned forward, recalling a story. Let me tell you what creative vision is not. A friend of mine once had the chance to invest $5,000 in Henry Ford's automobile business. I urged him to do so, but he refused. He said the automobile is just a fad. It will soon disappear. That was mistake number one, lack of vision. Then he doubted Ford's competence. That was mistake number two. Finally, he refused to invest because the company had nothing but an idea. That was mistake number three. He failed to see that ideas, when backed by action, are among the greatest assets. Carnegie's smile returned. At the same time, another man, James Couzens, saw the opportunity. He invested his money and his effort. That decision eventually made him millions. His creative vision allowed him to recognize the potential of an idea. Hill sat in awe, realizing that Carnegie's wisdom was more than just a formula for wealth. It was a philosophy for life. The conversation left him with a profound truth. Success is not about luck or shortcuts, but about vision, persistence, and service to others. Hill leaned forward, his eyes filled with curiosity. Mr. Carnegie, would you say that Dr. Harper of the University of Chicago applied all 10 principles of creative vision? Carnegie chuckled, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. You analyze how he secured $1 million endowment from a stranger in mere minutes, and you will have your answer. He paused, then continued. Dr. Harper lived by creative vision. It guided his every action, making him the most effective fundraiser in education. But let me tell you about another man who embodied this principle to the fullest, Hugh Chalmers. Hill listened intently as Carnegie unfolded the tale of Chalmers, a man of resilience and insight. When Chalmers was the general sales manager at the National Cash Register Company, the company faced a crisis. Sales were plummeting, and fear had crept into the hearts of his salesmen. Reports of an impending company failure had spread like wildfire, paralyzing the workforce. Did Chalmers panic? No. He called every salesman back to headquarters for an urgent meeting. Once they had all gathered, he addressed them with conviction. Gentlemen, he declared, you've been filling my desk with excuses. Some say it's the market, others say it's the economy. But let me tell you the real problem. You have sold yourselves on fear instead of selling cash registers. If you continue like this, you'll have something real to fear, losing your jobs. A heavy silence filled the room. Then Chalmers did something unexpected. He challenged his men to shift their mindset. Now, I want someone to stand up and tell me what is right about his territory. Enough about what's wrong. One by one, the salesmen rose, their perspectives shifting before his eyes. I see it now, one admitted. I've been making excuses instead of making sales. I will go back and prove that business is there for those willing to seek it. Another jumped in. I'll go further. I'll double my sales. And so it went. One after another, they recommitted themselves to success. The following month, sales doubled, and the company was pulled back from the brink of disaster. That, Carnegie said, is the power of creative vision. Where others see obstacles, men of vision see stepping stones. Hill nodded in admiration. So wherever progress thrives, we find creative vision at its core? Precisely, Carnegie affirmed. Men of vision are the architects of civilization. They transform dreams into reality. They light cities with electricity, span great rivers with bridges, and send voices across continents through wires. They do not bow to the impossible. They redefine it. Hill pondered for a moment, then asked, Is creative vision born, or is it developed? It is developed, Carnegie responded. Often, it emerges through a powerful motive, an obsession that drives men to achieve the extraordinary, and such men should not be scorned. They should be honored. The United States should establish national awards for those who contribute to industry, innovation, and the betterment of mankind. Hill smiled. You speak from experience, don't you? Carnegie's expression softened. Yes, I have found my fortune not just in steel, but in knowledge. Knowledge I now give away. Wealth is not just money. It is wisdom, vision, and the ability to create. That is what America needs now, a new philosophy that revives personal initiative, honors innovation, and ensures that men of creative vision continue to lead the way. And so their conversation continued, shaping ideas that would later transform the minds of those willing to listen. For in every era, in every industry, progress follows those who dare to see beyond what is to what could be. Wisdom adorns riches and softens poverty. Socrates. Understanding the quote. Socrates, one of history's greatest philosophers, teaches us that wisdom is valuable in all circumstances, whether we are rich or poor. Let's break this down. 1. Wisdom adorns riches. Having wealth is one thing, but using it wisely is another. A person with wisdom knows how to use their riches for good, whether by investing in meaningful causes, helping others, or living a life of balance and purpose. Without wisdom, riches can lead to greed, excess, or even destruction. 2. Wisdom softens poverty. Even in times of hardship, wisdom helps us navigate challenges with grace and resourcefulness. A wise person can find ways to make the best difficult situations, whether through problem solving, learning new skills, or maintaining inner peace despite external struggles. Lesson to take away. Money alone does not determine happiness or success. Wisdom does. Riches can be used for good or bad, and poverty can be endured or worsened, depending on how wisely we approach them. No matter our financial status, cultivating wisdom through learning, reflection, and experience will always improve our lives. Discussion questions. Can you think of an example of someone who used their wealth wisely? How can wisdom help someone facing financial struggles? In what ways can we develop wisdom in our own lives? Hill was troubled by what he saw in his nation, a people drifting from the principles that once made them strong. Mr. Carnegie, Hill said, I cannot help but feel that we are standing at a crossroads. The richest and freest nation in the world seems to be crumbling from within. I see people indulging in distractions, avoiding responsibility, and forgetting the very principles that built this land. Am I wrong to be concerned? Mr. Carnegie, his eyes twinkling with wisdom, nodded solemnly. You are not wrong, Hill. But let me tell you something. History is a great teacher. If you look back to the Roman Empire, you will see the same weaknesses: complacency, corruption, and loss of personal initiative. And what happened? The greatest civilization of its time collapsed, not from external enemies, but from within. The same fate awaits any nation that strays from the principles of personal responsibility, industry, and integrity. Hill furrowed his brow. Then, is there any hope? Will people recognize the need for change before it is too late? Mr. Carnegie smiled. Ah, my dear boy, this is where faith in human potential comes in. I believe that people, when presented with sound principles, will recognize their value, not all at once and not in sweeping movements, but through the example of a few wise men and women in every industry and profession. They will demonstrate the power of these principles through their success. Others will see, take notice, and follow. That is how great transformations begin. Hill leaned forward, intrigued. So, you believe that truth will always shine through? Absolutely, Mr. Carnegie affirmed. Truth stands out like the sun against a clear sky. When placed beside falsehood, it is unmistakable. Those who embrace it will find themselves breaking free from the spirit of defeatism. They will gain confidence, become more creative, and rise above their peers. Others will see their transformation and ask how it happened. And thus, the philosophy of individual achievement will spread, not by force, but by the undeniable proof of its success. Hill pondered this for a moment. How long will it take for such a philosophy to take hold? Mr. Carnegie sighed. That, my boy, is the great unknown. You see, spreading wisdom is not like planting a crop that grows in a single season. It takes years, sometimes decades, for people to recognize its value. In fact, those who champion new ideas often face periods of indifference, even rejection. But history has shown that great ideas take root in times of crisis. When a nation faces hardship, be it economic collapse or war, people begin searching for answers, and that is when the principles of sound thinking and personal responsibility will be embraced most fervently. Hill sat back, a new sense of determination in his heart. Then we must not wait for a crisis to act. We must share these principles now, so that when the time of hardship comes, people will already know where to turn. Mr. Carnegie beamed. Now you understand, Hill? The seeds must be planted today, even if the harvest is far away. The future belongs to those who are prepared for it. And remember this, history may repeat itself, but it is wise men like you who have the power to ensure that the next chapter is one of triumph, not decline. The Power of Creative Vision, a story of initiative and progress. Once upon a time, in a bustling city teeming with industry and ambition, there lived a young man named Daniel Carter. Unlike his peers, who merely followed the well-trodden paths laid out before them, Daniel possessed something different, a vision. Not just imagination, which so many indulged in with fleeting dreams, but true creative vision, a force that could shape reality itself. Daniel had grown up in modest circumstances, working in a small mechanical shop owned by his father. While others saw only the limitations of their trade, Daniel saw possibilities. He understood the difference between mere imagination, daydreaming about success, and creative vision, the ability to see the entire picture, recognize relationships, and apply ideas in a way that transformed industries. The difference between imagination and creative vision. Mr. Carnegie, in his wisdom, once explained that imagination is often limited by local circumstances, but creative vision extends beyond. It considers every factor, every relationship, every cause and effect that influences a person's success. Daniel embodied this principle. While his coworkers focused solely on repairing machines, Daniel studied their design, questioned inefficiencies, and devised improvements. His mind worked not just on what was, but on what could be. One day, an opportunity arose. A major factory in town struggled with an outdated system that slowed production. Most workers saw this as an unavoidable problem. Daniel, however, saw an opening. He sketched a plan, designed a prototype, and presented a solution to the factory owner. His innovation revolutionized the assembly process, increasing efficiency and reducing costs. In return, Daniel earned his first major contract and a reputation as a man of vision. The role of personal initiative and motive. Carnegie emphasized that all personal initiative stems from motive. Daniel's motive was not merely wealth, but the desire to create, to contribute, and to uplift his community. He understood that success does not come from waiting for opportunities, but from recognizing and embracing them. Mr. Carnegie also warned against the dangerous tendency of expecting something for nothing. Daniel understood this well. While many around him complained about their circumstances, waiting for fortune to favor them, Daniel put in extra effort. He applied the principle of going the extra mile, refining his designs long after others had finished their day's work. This habit alone distinguished him from mediocrity and propelled him toward greatness. The importance of human relationships. Despite his technical genius, Daniel knew that success was not a solitary pursuit. Carnegie stressed that human relationships are the most vital consideration for those who aspire to greatness. Daniel cultivated strong partnerships with investors who believed in his vision, with workers who respected his leadership, and with customers who trusted his innovations. He never resented those who had achieved success before him. Instead, he studied them, emulated them, and sought to learn from their experiences. Rather than throwing brickbats at visionaries, as Carnegie warned against, Daniel aligned himself with them. In return, he found mentors who guided him and allies who championed his ideas. The danger of complacency. Yet, as Daniel's business flourished, he noticed a troubling trend among his peers. Many seemed content to let opportunities slip by, complacent in their routines, unwilling to push boundaries. Even more concerning was the growing sentiment against those who, like Daniel, had taken risks and reaped the rewards. Jealousy replaced admiration. Resentment stifled innovation. Carnegie had foreseen this danger, the tendency of people to expect wealth without effort, progress without initiative. Daniel saw how government regulations, well-intentioned at times, often restricted creative minds from maximizing their contributions. He recognized that the right to exercise personal initiative without unnecessary interference was the cornerstone of progress. Without it, creative vision would be stifled, and the nation's wealth, both material and intellectual, would diminish. A call for leaders of creative vision. Daniel knew that the world was changing rapidly. The privileges of free enterprise and personal initiative, once taken for granted, were being eroded. The spirit of innovation that had built great industries was being replaced by hesitation and fear. But Daniel refused to succumb to these pressures. Instead, he chose to lead. With every new venture, he reminded his peers, the United States remains a land of opportunity, but only for those who dare to seize it. The path to riches, to greatness, has never changed. Render quality service, embrace bold ideas, and work relentlessly toward your vision. He urged his fellow citizens to recognize that while external factors may shift, the principles of success remain steadfast. Just as a small fire produces little heat, so does limited effort yield limited rewards. But a great blaze, fueled by initiative, vision, and persistence, warms entire cities and lights the way for generations to come. Facing the future with vision. Daniel's story is not unique. It is the story of every man and woman who has ever dared to think beyond the present moment, who has resisted the urge to stand still while freedoms and opportunities are stripped away. It is a reminder that the greatest danger is not competition, not hardship, but complacency, the failure to act when action is needed most. As Mr. Carnegie so wisely pointed out, all achievements begin with initiative, and all initiative begins with a motive. So let us ask ourselves, what is our motive? Will we allow fear and passivity to dictate our fate, or will we cultivate the creative vision necessary to shape a future of abundance and progress? The choice, as always, is ours to make. Suggested fields of opportunity for the application of creative vision. Ideas are the genesis of all achievements, the seedlings from which progress blooms. They are the driving force behind every great transformation in human history. The world is ripe with opportunity for those who possess the gift of creative vision, the ability to see beyond the ordinary and craft solutions that both innovate and inspire. Below, we explore several promising fields where such vision can be applied, leading not only to personal success, but also to the advancement of society as a whole. Educational entertainment in comics. Children across the nation devour newspaper comic strips with unrelenting enthusiasm. Yet for the most part, these strips provide little to no educational value. Imagine the impact of a well-crafted comic series that blends humor, adventure, and valuable lessons in history, science, or morality. Those with artistic ability could collaborate with writers who possess the gift of storytelling to create engaging, educational comics. For those who lack drawing skills, forming a mastermind alliance with talented illustrators could turn an idea into a nationwide success. Elevating radio programming. Radio remains one of the most powerful mediums of communication, yet much of its programming falls short in substance. A creative individual could pioneer a new era of radio entertainment that educates while captivating listeners. Whether through dramatized historical events, engaging science explorations, or interactive educational programs for children, the potential for impactful broadcasting is vast. The opportunity exists to create radio programs that inspire, inform, and elevate the public's intellect. Innovative children's storybooks. A thorough examination of children's literature reveals a gap in books that both educate and entertain. A storyteller with creative vision could revolutionize this space by crafting narratives that weave engaging plots with fundamental knowledge, teaching children about the wonders of science, the beauty of different cultures, or the significance of character-building virtues. Publishers actively seek such material, presenting a golden opportunity for imaginative writers and illustrators. Revolutionizing gasoline filling stations. Every gasoline station across the country possesses a valuable yet underutilized resource: space. The right individual could devise a way to transform these stations into multi-service hubs, offering convenience items, travel essentials, or even express delivery services. By maximizing the use of these prime locations, entrepreneurs could unlock a new stream of revenue while enhancing the daily lives of travelers. Advancements in automobile safety and infrastructure. The rising number of automobile accidents calls for innovation in traffic safety, whether through a revolutionary road design that minimizes collision risk or an advanced signaling system modeled after railroads. The potential to save lives is immense. A keen mind in engineering or technology could lead the charge in developing safety devices or materials that improve road durability, reducing skidding, and preventing accidents in adverse weather conditions. Optimizing unused automobile space. Millions of vehicles traverse the highways daily with unused seating capacity. A brilliant entrepreneur could harness this wasted space for small package delivery, ride-sharing initiatives, or innovative transport solutions. A well-organized system could revolutionize the logistics industry while allowing vehicle owners to offset operating costs. Revitalizing the education system. Traditional education often lacks engagement, leading to student disinterest and high dropout rates. By integrating more interactive methods, perhaps through radio, television, or digital platforms, a visionary could craft a system that makes learning more appealing. The creation of an education through entertainment model could inspire students and transform the learning experience. Revolutionizing the toy industry. Children's toys offer an ever-evolving market for innovation. Beyond mere amusement, toys could be designed to enhance cognitive skills, teach essential life lessons, or introduce fundamental principles of science and engineering. The development of such educational toys would not only benefit children, but also become a highly lucrative venture. Modernizing church engagement. Churches today face declining attendance, not because of dwindling faith, but because traditional methods often fail to connect with modern audiences. A reformer with creative vision could introduce dynamic services that address real-life challenges, blending spirituality with practical guidance. By forming mastermind groups comprising business leaders, educators, and community influencers, churches could offer problem-solving services alongside spiritual teachings, breathing new life into their role in society. Revamping small business strategies. Small business owners struggle to compete against corporate giants. Those with expertise in marketing, visual merchandising, and consumer psychology could develop systems that enhance business efficiency and customer appeal. Something as simple as optimizing store layout, improving lighting, or redesigning advertisements could yield remarkable results, leading to substantial revenue growth. Innovative printing and advertising services. The printing industry offers countless opportunities for those with creative marketing strategies. One need only devise innovative advertising materials, promotional booklets, or specialized print campaigns to gain a foothold in this sector. The success story of a man who authored a brief essay on career guidance, which sold over 10 million copies, stands as proof of the wealth that awaits those who can craft meaningful, sellable content. Breaking into the soft drink industry. Coca-Cola's legendary success story demonstrates the immense potential within the soft drink industry. Yet, the field remains open for the next groundbreaking beverage. A formula that captivates the taste buds while offering a healthier alternative could spark the next billion-dollar trend. Additionally, the creation of a lightweight, disposable, transparent bottle, perhaps from an innovative material like cellophane, could revolutionize the beverage packaging industry. Revolutionizing sewing for children. The art of sewing has faded from modern youth culture, yet an inventive system could reignite interest. Imagine a line of sewing kits designed for children, where patterns and instructions encourage creativity and skill development. Marketed through accessible retail chains, such an innovation could restore sewing as both an educational tool and a beloved pastime. Innovating telephone sales. Many industries rely on direct customer engagement, yet few capitalize on the potential of telephone-based marketing. Women with pleasant voices and persuasive skills could transform this medium into a highly profitable business, handling sales for insurance companies, car dealerships, and real estate agencies, all from the comfort of their homes. The endless possibilities of creative vision. The opportunities for creative vision are limitless. From education to entertainment, business to infrastructure, every aspect of life presents an open field for innovation. Those who recognize these gaps and apply their talents will not only build personal fortunes, but also leave a lasting impact on society. The world is not in need of more passive observers. It requires doers, dreamers, and visionaries who turn ideas into reality. Those with the courage to seize these opportunities will write the next great chapters of human progress. Some who have found themselves through creative vision. The annals of human achievement are filled with stories of those who, through the discovery and application of creative vision, have found their true purpose and unlocked the vast potential within themselves. This power exists in millions of minds, lying dormant, waiting for a spark, an appropriate motive to bring it to life. Many pass through life never realizing they possess this seed of greatness, yet a select few awaken to its potential and harness it to transform not only their own destinies, but the world around them. A Salesman's Awakening. In 1937, a traveling salesman for the Firestone Tire and Rubber Company stumbled upon a book, Think and Grow Rich, a volume that encapsulated a philosophy of success. As he read, something within him stirred. The words did not teach him anything he didn't already know. Rather, they revealed something within him that had been lying in wait, unrecognized and unused. Compelled by a newfound energy, he did something he had never done before. He sent a telegram to the book's author, announcing his intent to meet. With no prior appointment, he boarded a train and arrived in New York City. For 2 hours, he and the author spoke, and by the time he left, he was a changed man. Returning to his small Indiana town, everything appeared different. Not because the town had changed, but because he had. His mindset had shifted, his perspective elevated. No longer content with his station, he drafted a new definite major purpose and meticulously constructed a plan to achieve it. With a clear goal in mind, to elevate himself into a managerial position, he traveled to the Firestone headquarters in Akron, Ohio. He carried no doubt, only conviction. His proposal was solid, his belief in himself unshakable. When he stepped off the train back home, his wife saw his face through the window and knew, before he even spoke, that he had succeeded. In his pocket was a contract for a management position. What had changed? His ability? His experience? No. The difference was in his self-perception. By activating his creative vision, he became a magnet, attracting the success he desired. The insurance salesman who aimed higher. A similar transformation took place in the life of an insurance salesman. He, too, encountered Think and Grow Rich, and as he turned its pages, something ignited in his mind. He had been selling small policies for years, but a question now burned within him. Why have I been limiting myself? As this realization took root, he acted immediately. Without hesitation, he picked up a city directory and scanned its pages until he found the name of a wealthy businessman he had never considered approaching before. Why haven't I been calling on men who can afford large policies? He wondered. Determined, he set out to meet the man that same day. The meeting was brief yet decisive. The salesman carried with him an air of confidence, a belief in his product, and an unshakable conviction in his own worth. By the time he walked out of that office, he held in his hands an application for a $2 million policy, the largest ever sold in his city. What changed? His technique? His knowledge of insurance? No, it was his vision. He had sold himself before he even approached the client. He had finally understood that success starts with an inner transformation before it manifests outwardly. From cafeteria worker to owner. A man working in a cafeteria, earning a modest $45 a week, was also given a copy of this book. At first, nothing seemed to happen. But one evening, as he walked down the street, he stopped at a bustling corner and observed the stream of pedestrians passing by. A thought struck him. This would be a perfect location for a cafeteria. Unlike others who merely entertained such thoughts before dismissing them, he took action. By the next day, he had secured a lease for the space. Within 3 months, the cafeteria was open for business. Lacking personal funds, he convinced an investor to provide the capital in exchange for a share in the enterprise. His contribution? Experience, ambition, and creative vision. In a single year, the business was thriving, generating a monthly profit of $1,000. Opportunities for expansion presented themselves, and soon his business was no longer just an idea. It was a growing success. The Wright brothers and Henry Ford, pioneers of creative vision. The essence of creative vision has been the foundation of history's greatest innovations. In 1909, 2 brothers in Fort Myer, Virginia, struggled to lift their aircraft off the ground. Skeptics laughed, declaring that if man were meant to fly, he would have been given wings. But Wilbur and Orville Wright were not hindered by the doubts of others. They possessed a vision beyond their circumstances, and with persistence, they defied gravity and ushered in the age of flight. Likewise, Henry Ford did not merely stumble upon the automobile industry. He built it from the ground up through the relentless application of creative vision. The crude contraption he and his wife worked on in their kitchen sink gave only one kick. But that single explosion heralded the birth of an industry that would employ millions. Ford's true genius was not in mechanics alone, but in his ability to see beyond what was into what could be. The call to action. Awakening your creative vision. The stories of these men serve as a powerful testament to what is possible when creative vision is awakened. The question now turns to you. What about your own vision? What opportunities are waiting for you to recognize and seize them? In every city and town, there are potential Henry Fords and Wright brothers walking among us, individuals with untapped potential waiting to be unleashed. The difference between those who succeed and those who do not is not circumstance, but mindset. Two essential elements fuel the awakening of creative vision: a willingness to work and a definite motive strong enough to inspire action. Without these, vision remains a dormant seed, but once they are activated, the results can be nothing short of miraculous. The world today faces a crisis, not of resources or opportunity, but of individuals willing to rise above mediocrity and claim their power. The road to success is wide open for those who dare to travel it. Will you be one of them? Organized thought, the master key to success. In the grand halls of industry and progress, there stood a man whose name echoed through the corridors of power: Andrew Carnegie. A titan of business and a master of strategy, Carnegie possessed an almost mystical ability to turn ideas into empires. When asked about the secret behind his unparalleled success, he did not speak of luck or mere talent. Instead, he spoke of something far more powerful: organized thought. The mind as a kingdom. Imagine, if you will, that your mind is a vast kingdom, full of untapped resources and limitless potential. However, like any great kingdom, it requires leadership, structure, and discipline. Without organization, it remains a chaotic land where thoughts roam aimlessly, never amounting to anything substantial. But under proper rule, the kingdom flourishes, and great achievements are built upon its foundation. Carnegie believed that every individual possessed this kingdom within them, yet few ever took control. Most allowed their emotions to seize power, making impulsive decisions, reacting out of fear, doubt, or excitement, rather than logic and reason. But those who learned to organize their thoughts, to govern their minds with willpower and discipline, became the architects of their own destiny. The blueprint of the mind. To truly harness the power of organized thought, one must understand its structure. Carnegie described the mind as consisting of multiple departments, each playing a crucial role in the thinking process. These departments include the conscious mind, the seat of awareness where decisions are made; the subconscious mind, a vast reservoir of memories, emotions, and deeply ingrained beliefs; the willpower, the ruling force that commands the mind, steering it toward action or letting it drift aimlessly; the emotions, the energetic force that fuels motivation but must be kept under control to avoid chaos; the imagination, the department responsible for creativity and envisioning possibilities. Each of these departments functions together in either harmony or disorder. Success lies in bringing them into alignment. The struggle for control. In every person, there exists a battle between the emotions and the willpower. Imagine two generals vying for control of your mind. One represents your emotions, quick to act, driven by passion, yet prone to recklessness. The other is your willpower, steady, deliberate, and disciplined. For most people, emotions win the battle, leading them into hasty decisions, procrastination, or self-doubt. But those who cultivate a strong willpower place themselves firmly in command, using emotions as fuel rather than allowing them to dictate actions. This, Carnegie believed, was the single greatest skill a person could develop. The three charts of mastery. Carnegie's analysis of organized thought is best understood through three essential frameworks. 1. The master chart of the mind. This chart maps out the various functions of the mind and how they interact. Like a blueprint for an architect, it allows one to see the structure of thought and how it influences action. 2. The roadmap to purpose. Success is never accidental. It follows a clear set of steps. This chart outlines the necessary actions required to achieve a definite major purpose in life, ensuring that every thought is directed toward progress. 3. The formation of thought. Understanding how thoughts are formed, influenced, and acted upon is crucial. This chart explains how the mind absorbs ideas, processes them, and turns them into beliefs or actions. Studying these charts is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a transformative process. To grasp their significance is to unlock the hidden power within oneself. The power of repetition and reflection. Reading about organized thought is not enough. Carnegie insisted that true mastery comes from constant repetition and deep reflection. Read slowly. Highlight key points. Reflect on how each concept applies to your life. Return to the material days later and notice how much more you understand. By doing this, you train your mind to think accurately, strengthening your willpower, and reducing the influence of negative emotions. Discovering your other self. Carnegie often spoke of the other self that exists within each of us. It is the self that is confident, driven, and capable of extraordinary achievement. However, most people operate under the influence of their weaker self, the one that is controlled by fear, doubt, and indecision. The key to unlocking the power of the other self lies in discipline, faith in one's abilities, and the conscious act of feeding the mind with positive, constructive thoughts. Once a person commits to this path, they experience a transformation. Fear diminishes, hesitation disappears, and a new mental clarity takes hold. The ultimate reward, mastery of life. Organized thought is not merely a tool for business success. It is a philosophy for mastering life itself. Those who apply these principles gain control over their circumstances rather than being controlled by them. They become leaders of their own destiny, shaping their world through deliberate, well-organized thinking. Let this be your challenge, to take command of your mind, to master your emotions, and to organize your thoughts with the precision of a skilled architect. For in doing so, you hold the key to unlocking the full measure of your potential and achieving success beyond imagination. Thoughts are things. A wise philosopher once proclaimed, "Thoughts are things." Though these words are simple, they carry immense power. Thought is one of the very few things that an individual may completely control, shaping one's reality and destiny. It is through this power that men and women rise to greatness, forge new paths, and leave legacies that span generations. Imagine for a moment a young artist named Daniel. He was born into modest means, with no great inheritance or advantage beyond a burning desire to share his vision with the world. While others saw only obstacles, Daniel saw possibilities. His thoughts, clear and unwavering, magnetized his entire being, aligning his body, emotions, and actions toward a singular goal: to become a world-renowned painter. The magnetism of thought. Thoughts are like magnets. They attract corresponding circumstances, people, and opportunities into one's life. Just as a compass needle always points north, our dominant thoughts guide us toward outcomes that match their nature. For Daniel, his thoughts drew him toward mentors, the right materials, and the discipline necessary to refine his craft. With every stroke of his brush, he reaffirmed his vision, reinforcing the belief that his dream was not just possible, it was inevitable. This is the power of organized thought, directed toward a definite end. The route to attainment, chart number 1. To harness the power of thought effectively, one must follow a structured route. The first and most crucial step is desire, a deep, unwavering longing that fuels persistence. This desire must be rooted in one or more of the 9 basic motives that inspire all human action, such as love, financial gain, self-preservation, or the urge for creative expression. But desire alone is not enough. It requires continuous stimulation through the principles of individual achievement, faith, imagination, planning, and persistence. Like a flame that must be fed to keep burning, desire thrives when it is nurtured by definite action. The 3 steps to achievement. Chart number 2. For any great endeavor to succeed, 3 fundamental steps must be followed. Defining a major purpose. A vague goal leads to vague results. Success begins with clarity. What is it that you truly seek? Organizing thought around this purpose. Random thoughts yield random results. By aligning mental faculties toward a single goal, thought transforms into a force of nature. Applying principles of success, these include unwavering faith, persistence in the face of adversity, and a willingness to take bold, decisive action. In Daniel's case, he defined his purpose clearly: to have his artwork displayed in prestigious galleries. He structured his thoughts, aligning daily actions with this vision. He then applied principles such as unwavering faith in his abilities, consistent effort, and learning from those who had already succeeded. The mechanism of thought, chart number 3. At the core of thought power lies a complex mechanism composed of 10 interrelated factors. These include the subconscious mind, memory, the 5 senses, and emotions, all of which require careful discipline to function optimally. The subconscious mind is a vast reservoir of untapped potential, linking all departments of thought with infinite intelligence, the source of all creative power. It operates constantly, absorbing stimuli, making connections, and influencing decisions. But without discipline, it can be flooded with negativity, fear, and doubt. Memory, the 5 senses, and emotions serve as the fuel for thought. However, they are unreliable without self-discipline. A person ruled by unchecked emotions or impulsive reactions may struggle to focus on a goal. Conversely, an individual who applies strict discipline, cultivates positive habits, and exercises the power of will can direct their mind toward extraordinary achievements. Daniel learned to master his emotions, treating failure as a lesson rather than a defeat. He disciplined his thoughts, ensuring that they remained fixed on his vision. He strengthened his will through daily habits, practicing his art, studying the great masters, and reinforcing his belief in his inevitable success. The path forward. In the grand scheme of life, our thoughts shape our reality. They are the architects of our future. By recognizing that thoughts are things, and by learning to control and direct them with intention, we unlock our greatest potential. Like Daniel, anyone can transform their circumstances. The key lies in mastering the mind, organizing thought, and applying it toward a clear and definite purpose. Through this, success is not just possible, it is certain. What thoughts are you cultivating today? Are they leading you toward the life you desire or away from it? Choose wisely, for your thoughts will become your reality. The Power and Nature of Thought, a story of influence and mastery. In a quiet town nestled between rolling hills and winding rivers, there lived a man named Jonathan Wells. Jonathan was an average man in most respects, yet he held within him an extraordinary power, though he did not yet realize it. Like many others, he went through life reacting to circumstances rather than shaping them. It wasn't until a wise mentor named Elias crossed his path that Jonathan began to understand the true nature of thought. One evening, as they sat by a crackling fire, Elias spoke. "Jonathan, have you ever considered that every great achievement begins in the form of thought?" Jonathan shook his head. Every building, every invention, every masterpiece of art or literature was first a mere thought in someone's mind. Thought, whether positive or negative, has a peculiar tendency to manifest into reality. Jonathan listened intently as Elias continued. The mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of doubt and fear, they will grow into a tangled mess of hesitation and failure. But if you cultivate thoughts of belief, determination, and success, your garden will flourish with abundance. The subconscious mind absorbs these thoughts and turns them into actions, often without us realizing it. The subconscious, the silent architect Elias explained further, The subconscious mind operates automatically, shaping our lives based on the thoughts we habitually entertain. If a person repeatedly thinks about failure, he will find himself making choices that lead to failure. But if he constantly envisions success, his subconscious will guide him toward achieving it. Jonathan was intrigued. So, are you saying that my thoughts control my life? Elias nodded. Absolutely. Everything in your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts. If you wish to change your life, you must first change your thinking. The 5 sources of thought stimulation. Jonathan leaned in as Elias drew a diagram in the dirt with a stick. Thoughts come from 5 primary sources: the 5 physical senses, memory, the subconscious mind, emotions, and willpower. The first 2 are unreliable because they are often influenced by fear, prejudice, and past experiences. But the subconscious mind, when properly trained, becomes a powerful ally. Jonathan pondered this. And emotions? Ah, Elias said, emotions are the seat of all desires. They drive our actions more than logic or reason. Most people let their emotions rule them without control, which leads to impulsive decisions. But those who master their emotions can direct them toward purposeful action. The power of belief. Elias took a deep breath before continuing. There is one secret above all: belief. The most powerful force in the universe is a man's capacity to believe. George Washington believed he could win against a superior army, and he did. Edison believed he could create electric light, and he did. The Wright brothers believed they could fly, and they did. Their belief became reality because they held onto it with unshakable conviction. Jonathan's mind raced. So if I believe in something strongly enough, my subconscious will find a way to make it happen? Precisely, Elias confirmed. But belief without action is empty. You must combine thought with action. Passive belief produces nothing. Active belief changes everything. The organized mind. Elias then shared a final lesson. To harness the power of thought, one must organize the mind. Like an army needs discipline, the mind needs structure. Develop the habit of separating facts from opinions, prioritize important thoughts over distractions, and train your will to direct your focus. Jonathan felt a newfound sense of clarity. He realized that his life had been shaped by habitual thoughts, many of which were not serving him. From that day forward, he made a commitment to train his mind, to think with intention, and to believe in his own power to create his reality. Years later, Jonathan Wells became a successful entrepreneur, a leader in his community, and a mentor to others. When asked the secret to his success, he would smile and say, "It all began with a thought." Final reflection. Thought is the most powerful force available to mankind. It has built civilizations, cured diseases, and won wars. But it has also created suffering when used carelessly. If you wish to master life, you must first master your mind. Believe in your purpose, discipline your thoughts, and take action. The world belongs to those who think with clarity, purpose, and unshakable belief. General instructions for organized thinking, the art of thinking with precision. Accurate thinking is the foundation upon which sound decisions and successful endeavors are built. To achieve accuracy in thought, one must embrace 2 fundamental forms of reasoning. Inductive reasoning. This method involves forming conclusions based on unknown facts or hypotheses. It is a process of exploration and inference, used when direct evidence is incomplete or unavailable. Deductive reasoning. This approach relies on known facts or what is accepted as truth. It follows a logical structure where conclusions are drawn based on established premises. These 2 forms of reasoning serve as the bedrock of structured thought. However, mastering them requires careful adherence to 2 essential steps. Separating facts from fiction. A thinker must distinguish between verifiable truths and mere opinions, hearsay, or misinformation. Classifying facts into important and unimportant. Not all facts carry equal weight. An important fact is one that contributes directly to the achievement of one's goals, while an unimportant fact, though possibly true, has little practical relevance. The pitfalls of opinion-based thinking. Much of what passes for thinking in daily life is actually a collection of unverified opinions. These opinions, unless grounded in facts, can be misleading and even harmful. Consider the following key principles about opinions. Opinions should be fact-based. An opinion without factual support is mere speculation. Unless it is derived from known facts or rooted in a profound understanding of the divine plan, it should not be treated as truth. Not all advice is equal. Free advice, whether from well-meaning friends, family members, or acquaintances, is often of little real value. While some may offer wisdom, their suggestions should always be scrutinized before acceptance. Self-reliance in thinking. Accurate thinkers do not delegate their reasoning to others. Instead, they seek reliable sources, verify information, and process it independently. Beware of gossip and scandal. Those who thrive on spreading rumors are rarely reliable sources of information. Yet, many individuals allow such unreliable narratives to shape their opinions and decisions. The danger of wishful thinking. People often accept as truth what aligns with their desires. This cognitive bias can lead to self-deception and poor decision-making. A disciplined thinker must guard against this tendency. Facts require effort to uncover. While information is abundant and readily available, actual facts tend to be elusive. Uncovering truth demands rigorous investigation and careful verification. The price of accurate thinking. In a world saturated with opinions, assumptions, and misinformation, accurate thinking stands as a rare and valuable skill. However, it does not come easily. One must be willing to engage in the painstaking labor of distinguishing facts from falsehoods, assessing the reliability of sources, and maintaining intellectual discipline. Mastering organized thinking is an ongoing process, one that demands both patience and diligence. Yet those who commit to this practice gain a powerful advantage in both their personal and professional lives. For in the end, clear and accurate thinking is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is the pathway to sound judgment, effective decision-making, and lasting success. The acid tests. Separating facts from mere information or inference. The story of James and the quest for truth. James was an eager young entrepreneur, always on the lookout for knowledge that would help him succeed in business. He devoured books, listened to influential speakers, and followed every trend that promised success. Yet, time and again, he found himself making poor decisions based on misleading information. Frustrated, he turned to his mentor, Mr. Edwards, a seasoned businessman known for his sharp judgment. "James," Mr. Edwards began, "if you want to make sound decisions, you must learn the difference between facts, mere information, and inference. Many people fail, not because they lack intelligence, but because they accept things at face value without proper scrutiny. Let me teach you some acid tests for identifying true facts." Test 1. The credibility of the source. First and foremost, always ask, is the writer or speaker a recognized authority on the subject? Mr. Edwards continued, "In today's world, anyone can claim expertise, but not everyone has the credentials or experience to back it up. Before accepting their words as truth, research their background. Have they demonstrated real-world expertise in the field they discuss?" James nodded. He recalled how he had once followed financial advice from a social media influencer who had never actually built wealth himself. That mistake had cost him thousands of dollars. Test 2. The motive behind the message. Next, ask yourself, does this person have an ulterior motive? Mr. Edwards leaned in. Some writers and speakers are paid propagandists whose job is to shape public opinion. Others have a financial interest in what they promote. Always consider what they stand to gain if you believe them. James thought back to a time when he had invested in a startup after reading glowing reviews online, only to later discover that the reviewers were financially tied to the company. He had been blinded by biased information. Test 3. The presence of fanaticism. Beware of fanatics, Mr. Edwards warned. A person obsessed with a cause may distort facts, even unintentionally. Their passion can make their words persuasive, but that doesn't mean they are accurate. If something seems exaggerated or emotionally charged, scrutinize it further. James thought of a charismatic motivational speaker he had followed religiously. While inspiring, the speaker often ignored critical details that contradicted his philosophy. James realized he had been swept up in enthusiasm rather than sound reasoning. Test 4. Verifiable sources. Are there other sources that can verify the claims being made? Mr. Edwards asked. True facts are usually documented in multiple, independent sources. If an idea or claim stands on only one person's word, be skeptical. Always check if there's scientific or historical evidence to back it up. James had learned this lesson the hard way when he had acted on investment advice from a single blog post. Had he done proper research, he would have discovered that reputable financial analysts had warned against the investment. Test 5. The reputation for truthfulness. Some people are careless with the truth, Mr. Edwards continued. Half-truths are among the most dangerous of all falsehoods. Before you trust a source, consider their reputation. Have they been accurate in the past, or have they been caught spreading misinformation? James thought about a so-called industry expert whose predictions had repeatedly failed, yet because the expert spoke with confidence, James had believed him until reality proved otherwise. Test 6. The influence of emotions. Your own emotions can deceive you, James, Mr. Edwards cautioned. Love, fear, greed, and ambition can cloud judgment. Before you accept something as fact, take a step back. Does it align with reason? If not, put it under further scrutiny. James sighed. He had let greed lead him into a questionable business deal. The potential profits had blinded him to the obvious risks. If only he had paused to assess the facts more objectively. Test 7. The hidden pitfalls of the mind. Lastly, be aware that even your senses and memory can deceive you, Mr. Edwards said. What you see, hear, or remember isn't always reality. Psychologists have proven that people often perceive things incorrectly, especially under stress or strong emotion. James recalled a time when fear had made him misinterpret a contract's terms. Had he taken a calm, rational approach, he would have saved himself a legal headache. The final lesson. Becoming a master of your mind. James, Mr. Edwards concluded, your mind has 3 powerful tools: the will, the faculty of reason, and the conscience. Strengthen them through discipline and training. Learn to think for yourself rather than being swayed by persuasive words. Form the habit of questioning everything, not with skepticism, but with the intent to seek truth. James left that conversation with a newfound sense of purpose. From that day forward, he committed himself to thinking critically, verifying facts, and never again allowing himself to be misled by mere information or inference. He knew that in mastering his own mind, he had taken the first step toward true success. Key takeaways for accurate thinking. Check the credibility of the writer or speaker. Identify any ulterior motives behind the information. Beware of fanaticism and emotional appeals. Verify claims using multiple, independent sources. Consider the past accuracy and reputation of the source. Recognize and control your emotions before making decisions. Understand that your senses and memory can be unreliable. Strengthen your reasoning ability through practice and self-discipline. By applying these acid tests, you can protect yourself from misinformation, make better decisions, and ultimately control your own destiny. Your thinking habits are the result of social and physical heredity. A Tale of Two Brothers, The Power of Heredity. Once in a small town nestled between rolling hills, 2 brothers, James and William, grew up under the same roof, yet developed into 2 vastly different men. Their father was a hard-working blacksmith, strong and resolute, while their mother was a schoolteacher, known for her sharp wit and wisdom. Physically, the brothers inherited their father's broad shoulders and their mother's sharp eyes, but their minds took shape in different ways due to the environments they engaged with. James, the elder, followed closely in his father's footsteps. Working in the forge from a young age, his world was shaped by the hammering of iron and the conversations of tradesmen. William, on the other hand, spent more time with his mother, reading books and engaging in discussions with scholars who visited their home. Though they shared the same physical heritage, their thinking habits diverged significantly. Why? The answer lies in the laws of physical heredity and social heredity, 2 powerful forces that shape every human being. The unchangeable, physical heredity. Through the law of physical heredity, we inherit our genetic blueprint, our height, eye color, natural strengths, and even some predispositions to certain talents or ailments. This inheritance is permanent and beyond our control. James and William could not change the physique they inherited from their father, nor the sharp minds they received from their mother. But while physical heredity sets the foundation, it does not determine the structure of one's mind or habits of thought. That is the realm of social heredity, the force that truly dictates how we think, what we believe, and how we approach life's challenges. The malleable social heredity. Unlike physical heredity, which is fixed, social heredity is dynamic. It consists of the influences we absorb from the world around us, our family, education, religious beliefs, political and economic structures, traditions, and professional environments. These influences act as a mold, shaping our thoughts and behaviors, often without us realizing it. Consider James. Growing up in the forge, he was constantly surrounded by men who valued hard labor, discipline, and tradition. His thinking became practical, rooted in the belief that strength and perseverance led to success. Meanwhile, William, immersed in books and scholarly discussions, developed a mindset centered on ideas, philosophy, and innovation. Though raised under the same roof, their thinking habits were shaped by their environments rather than their genes. The power of influence. A story from history. One of history's most striking examples of social heredity in action comes from a leader of a religious sect who once claimed, "Give me a child until he is 7, and I will give you the man." This statement underscores how impressionable young minds are. A child, before questioning the world, absorbs the beliefs, customs, and biases of their immediate surroundings. Take, for instance, countries with strict governmental control over education and media. In such societies, thought patterns are shaped deliberately by those in power. When schools, churches, news sources, and even social circles operate under strict ideological guidance, independent thought becomes nearly impossible. A nation can be molded into collective thinking, not through physical traits, but through controlled social heredity. The American advantage, freedom of thought. In contrast, the United States has long been a beacon of independent thinking, largely due to its decentralized education system and free press. Unlike authoritarian states where the government controls all sources of information, Americans have access to diverse viewpoints. This environment encourages self-directed thought, allowing individuals to form opinions based on a range of ideas rather than imposed doctrines. However, despite this advantage, many still fall into the habit of secondhand thinking, accepting beliefs and opinions inherited from their parents, friends, or society at large without questioning their validity. It is not enough to have access to free thought. One must actively engage in it. Taking ownership of your mind. Understanding the forces of physical and social heredity is crucial for those who wish to break free from inherited limitations. The ability to think independently is the greatest gift we possess, yet it requires conscious effort. Ask yourself, are my beliefs truly my own, or are they merely reflections of those around me? Have I challenged the ideas I was taught as a child, or have I accepted them without question? Do I seek out diverse perspectives, or do I limit myself to familiar viewpoints? James and William, despite their differences, had one thing in common: the ability to choose how they thought. James, though initially shaped by the forge, later sought education to expand his worldview. William, despite his academic upbringing, spent time learning practical skills to balance his knowledge. Both recognized that while physical heredity is fixed, social heredity can be understood, controlled, and even reshaped. The final thought. The most tragic loss a person can suffer is the loss of control over their own mind. Social heredity can be a tool of empowerment or a chain of limitation. It all depends on how we engage with it. By actively shaping our environments, questioning inherited beliefs, and seeking new perspectives, we gain mastery over our own thinking habits. And in that mastery lies the true essence of freedom, the power to think, decide, and act according to our own will, rather than merely reflecting the world around us. So what will you do with your mind? Will you let it be shaped by the forces around you, or will you take charge and mold it into something greater? How we acquire opinions through the influence of social heredity. Opinions are powerful forces that shape our perceptions, decisions, and lives. However, many opinions are not only baseless, but can also be dangerous when formed without proper reasoning. The way we acquire opinions is deeply tied to social heredity, the process by which beliefs and customs are passed down through generations and absorbed through our environment. Let us explore how these influences mold our thoughts and how we can learn to think independently. The political influence of social heredity. Political affiliations are often a matter of inheritance rather than informed choice. A vivid example of this was once provided by Bob Taylor, former governor of Tennessee. When he asked a young man why he was a staunch Democrat, the reply came without hesitation. "I am a Democrat because I live in Tennessee, and my father and grandfather were Democrats. That's why." Taylor, with characteristic humor, responded, "Well, wouldn't you be in a bad fix if your father and grandfather had been horse thieves?" This exchange highlights an important truth. Most individuals align with a political party not because they have carefully examined its principles, but because they have inherited their beliefs from family and surroundings. Studies suggest that a large percentage of politically active individuals cannot clearly articulate the differences between major political parties. Their loyalties stem not from logical assessment, but from years of exposure to certain ideas and influences. Religion and the power of inherited beliefs. The same phenomenon can be observed in religion. Many individuals are devoted members of their faith without being able to explain its fundamental doctrines. If asked about the key differences between religious denominations, most would struggle to provide an informed answer. Their faith is largely a product of social heredity rather than deliberate spiritual exploration. Alexander Pope captured this pattern of gradual acceptance in his famous lines. "Vice is a monster of so frightful a mien as to be hated needs but to be seen. Yet seen too oft, familiar with her face, we first endure, then pity, then embrace." This verse describes how repeated exposure to an idea or practice leads to eventual acceptance, even when the idea is flawed or initially repulsive. Just as with vice, so it is with beliefs. Over time, we adopt opinions simply because they have been normalized in our surroundings. How social influence shapes our habits. Our tendency to imitate others extends beyond politics and religion. It affects our daily habits as well. Consider the widespread acceptance of smoking and drinking. The Prohibition era in the United States saw an ironic increase in alcohol consumption because drinking was viewed as rebellious and fashionable. Similarly, cigarette smoking became a national pastime, not because individuals naturally enjoyed it, but because of social conditioning. It is rare to find anyone who begins smoking without effort. The habit must be cultivated. This demonstrates that our actions, much like our opinions, are often not the result of personal preference, but of societal influence. People see others engaging in an activity, and before long, they do the same. The lack of independent thought. A startling truth emerges when we observe human behavior closely. Very few people live authentically as themselves. Most follow the crowd, absorbing the beliefs and habits of those around them without critical examination. They resemble sheep, trailing along well-worn paths without questioning the journey. This is particularly evident in professions where precedent dictates practice. In the legal field, judges make decisions based on previous rulings rather than independent analysis. Doctors often adhere strictly to established medical practices without questioning whether alternative approaches might be more effective. Such dependency on tradition stifles progress and innovation. The danger of blind acceptance. The tendency to accept information without scrutiny is a common human weakness. People often assume that because something is written in a book or published in a newspaper, it must be true. Few question the validity of what they read, allowing misinformation and half-truths to shape their worldviews. A prime example of this blind acceptance occurred when Einstein introduced his theory of relativity. Many held strong opinions about it, despite having no real understanding of the science behind it. The same pattern of rejection and skepticism was evident when the Wright brothers first announced their flying machine. Newspaper reporters refused to witness the invention in action, dismissing the idea as impossible. Similarly, when Marconi proposed wireless communication, his own family believed he had gone mad. The path to independent thinking. The world desperately needs more independent thinkers, individuals who dare to question, explore, and form their own conclusions. History remembers pioneers like Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, and Alexander Graham Bell because they refused to accept limitations imposed by conventional thinking. They examined facts firsthand, blazed new trails, and changed the world. The lesson here is clear. Most of what we believe has been handed down to us through social heredity. If we truly desire to think for ourselves, we must break free from blind acceptance, examine our beliefs critically, and seek truth through personal exploration. Only then can we claim to be true thinkers rather than mere inheritors of opinion. Controlled habit, the basis of organized thinking. Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a young boy named Thomas. Thomas was curious about the world around him, always asking questions and eager to understand the secrets of success. He observed that some people in his village flourished in their endeavors, while others struggled, caught in a cycle of hardship and failure. Determined to uncover the reason for these differences, he sought the wisdom of an old scholar named Master Eli, who had spent his life studying the power of the mind. Master Eli welcomed Thomas into his study, a room filled with ancient scrolls and books. "Thomas," he said, "the secret to success and fulfillment lies in understanding two powerful forces, habit and social heredity." Thomas leaned in, intrigued. "What do they mean?" "Social heredity," Master Eli explained, "is the influence of our environment, our family, friends, culture, and experiences. It shapes our thoughts and behaviors without us even realizing it. Habit, on the other hand, is the repeated action that forms patterns in our lives. The good news is that while we may not control social heredity, we can control our habits. And with controlled habit, we can master organized thinking, which leads to success." Master Eli reached for a camera from his shelf. "Think of your mind as this camera, Thomas. The lens represents controlled habit. The plate inside, where the image is captured, is your subconscious mind. Whatever you focus the lens on is what gets imprinted. If your focus is sharp and your exposure is controlled, you develop a clear image. But if your focus wavers or the exposure is too short, the image becomes blurry." Thomas nodded, beginning to grasp the concept. "So, if I want to be successful, I must carefully choose what I focus on." Exactly, youngster. To develop a powerful, organized mind, you must use controlled habit to deliberately imprint the right thoughts, and images onto your subconscious. And how do we do that? Through 4 essential steps. Master Eli took out a parchment and wrote, "Step 1. Define a clear major purpose. You must have a definite goal, something that excites you and fuels your ambition. Without a clear destination, your mind will wander aimlessly. Step 2. Develop a practical plan. Success requires strategy. A plan provides direction and actionable steps toward your goal. Even the greatest ideas mean little without a plan to execute them. Step 3. Align with like-minded individuals. Surround yourself with those who uplift and guide you. This is known as the mastermind principle. The right influences will strengthen your determination, while the wrong ones will derail you. Step 4. Take immediate and consistent action. A goal and a plan are useless without action. You must act consistently, repeating the habits that lead to success until they become second nature." Thomas looked up thoughtfully. "But what about my subconscious mind? How does it help?" Master Eli smiled. "Once you form a controlled habit through repetition, your subconscious mind takes over, guiding you effortlessly toward your goal. But you must first train it. Just as a farmer tends to his crops before the harvest, you must plant the right thoughts and nurture them with action." "And what if I don't take control?" Thomas asked. "If you don't direct your habits," Master Eli warned, "your environment will shape them for you. This means external influences, many of them negative, will dictate your actions. You must seize control and train your mind intentionally." Master Eli then pointed to the top of his parchment. "At the highest level of organized thinking lies infinite intelligence, the source of all ideas and power. Your subconscious mind acts as a bridge, helping you tap into this infinite wisdom. The key to unlocking this power is willpower, the force that shapes habits and directs thoughts." Thomas sat quietly, absorbing the wisdom. "So, willpower is the tool that allows me to shape my thoughts and control my emotions?" "Precisely," Master Eli affirmed. "Willpower is your commander. It instructs your emotions, disciplines your thoughts, and directs your subconscious mind. Without it, emotions may run wild, leading to disorganized thinking and chaos. With it, you achieve balance, purpose, and ultimately success." As Thomas left Master Eli's study, he felt a new sense of clarity. He now understood that success was not a matter of luck or chance, but a result of disciplined, controlled habits. From that day forward, he applied what he had learned, focusing his thoughts, developing strong habits, and taking deliberate action toward his dreams. Years later, Thomas became a great leader, known for his wisdom and achievements. He often shared the lesson he had learned from Master Eli, teaching others that controlled habit is the foundation of organized thinking and the key to unlocking one's greatest potential. How Habits Are Formed, a Story and Teaching Guide. Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling green hills, there lived a young man named Daniel. He was known for his dreams of success, but also for his struggle with discipline. He wanted to build a thriving business and lead a fulfilling life, yet he often found himself procrastinating, giving in to distractions, and lacking motivation. One day, an old wise man named Master Leon came to visit the village. Known for his profound understanding of human behavior, he observed Daniel's struggles and offered to teach him the secret of success, habit formation. The power of repetition. Master Leon began by explaining, habits are like paths in the forest. The first time you walk a certain way, the path is barely visible. But if you walk the same route every day, the path becomes clear and easy to follow. This is how habits are formed. There are two kinds of habits, voluntary and involuntary. Voluntary habits, the path of willpower and motive. Master Leon guided Daniel to a quiet spot near a flowing river and asked him to throw a pebble into the water. "Did you notice the ripples?" the master asked. Your actions create ripples in your life. Every time you repeat an action or a thought, you reinforce a habit. If you voluntarily decide to practice something, like waking up early, exercising, or studying, you are creating ripples that will shape your future. Daniel nodded. But what if I don't feel like doing something? That is where motive comes in, Master Leon replied. If your reason for forming a habit is strong enough, repetition becomes natural. For example, if you truly desire success and you see the benefits of discipline, you will push through even when you don't feel like it. Involuntary habits, the danger of uncontrolled influence. Master Leon then pointed to a deep trench in the village road. This trench was once a small rut made by wagon wheels. Over time, as more wagons passed, it deepened until it controlled the movement of all who traveled here. The same happens with involuntary habits. If you allow external influences, laziness, negativity, or bad company, to shape your thoughts and actions, you will find yourself in a rut that is difficult to escape. Daniel realized that many of his habits had formed not by choice, but by circumstance. He had fallen into patterns of distraction and delay simply because they were easy. The link between thought and action. All physical actions start as thoughts, Master Leon continued. If you control your thoughts, you control your actions. If you let negativity, doubt, or fear dominate your mind, your actions will reflect them. But if you train yourself to think positively and with purpose, your actions will follow suit, turning thoughts into automatic action. To prove his point, Master Leon handed Daniel a small phrase written on a parchment. Day by day, in every way, I am becoming better and better. Repeat this daily, and soon your mind will believe it, and your actions will align with it. This is how habits take root, through consistent, conscious effort until they become automatic. The transformation begins. Daniel took the master's advice seriously. Each morning, he would visualize his success and repeat his affirmations. He consciously made an effort to wake up early, work hard, and stay focused. At first, it was difficult. His old habits fought back, luring him into procrastination, but he persisted. Days turned into weeks, and soon his actions became effortless. He no longer had to force himself to wake up early or stay disciplined. It became natural. As his habits solidified, Daniel noticed changes beyond his control. People admired his dedication and began supporting his business. Opportunities seemed to appear out of nowhere. His energy levels increased, and work became a source of joy rather than stress. The final lesson: habits create success. One evening, as Daniel sat by the river, he smiled, realizing how much he had changed. Master Leon sat beside him and said, "You see, Daniel, you have reprogrammed your mind. Your success is no longer a question of luck. It is inevitable because you have built the right habits." Daniel bowed in gratitude. And what about failure? Failure will come, as it does to all. But those who have mastered their habits see failure as a stepping stone, not a roadblock. When you train your mind to turn obstacles into lessons, nothing can truly defeat you. Conclusion: your path to success. Just like Daniel, you have the power to shape your destiny by forming the right habits. If you start with a strong motive, repeat positive actions, and persist through difficulty, your habits will drive you toward success. Remember, the mind is like a garden. If you plant good seeds, positive thoughts, and productive actions, they will grow into a flourishing life. But if you neglect it, weeds of doubt, procrastination, and failure will take over. The choice is yours. Will you create habits that lead to success, or allow circumstances to shape your future? Start today, for every action is a step toward the person you are becoming. The Power of Action, a lesson from Andrew Carnegie. Every student of this philosophy should have the word action burned into his consciousness, for it is one of the key words of the entire philosophy. By Andrew Carnegie. Every student of this philosophy, what does this mean? Carnegie is speaking to people who are learning and following a particular philosophy, most likely the philosophy of success, business, or personal achievement. Lesson: if you want to master success, you must be a student of its principles, just like you would study math, science, or history. Should have the word action burned into his consciousness. What does this mean? The word action should be deeply embedded in the mind of every student. It should not be a passing thought, but something unforgettable. Lesson: success does not come from just thinking, planning, or dreaming. It comes from doing. Carnegie is emphasizing that action is non-negotiable for success, for it is one of the key words of the entire philosophy. What does this mean? Action is not just important, it is one of the most critical elements of success. Without it, no other principle matters. Lesson: knowledge, ideas, and strategies are useless if they are not put into practice. If success were a puzzle, action would be one of the most essential pieces. Final lesson. Carnegie is teaching us that success is not about just learning or just thinking. It is about taking bold and consistent action. If you want to succeed, let action be at the core of everything you do. The Power of Organized Thinking, a lesson from Andrew Carnegie. On a quiet evening in his grand study, Andrew Carnegie sat across from his young protege, Napoleon Hill. The room, lined with towering bookshelves filled with volumes of philosophy, business, and history, seemed the perfect setting for an insightful lesson. Carnegie, the great steel magnate, was known not just for his vast wealth, but for his mastery of success principles. This evening, he would teach Hill about one of the most crucial, organized thinking. Hill, eager to learn, leaned forward. "Mr. Carnegie, you've explained that organized thought is essential to achievement. Could you clarify what you mean by this and how it applies to success?" Carnegie smiled. "Before we discuss organized thought, let us first define thought itself. Thought is energy, but unlike other forms of energy, it has intelligence. It is the only force over which a person has complete control. Yet many allow their minds to be influenced by external forces, leaving their thoughts unguarded, much like a house with an open door." Hill pondered this. "So, is it dangerous to leave one's mind open to external influences?" Carnegie nodded. "Absolutely. Just as you wouldn't leave your home open to thieves, you shouldn't leave your mind open to stray, unproductive thoughts. Thoughts from others can enter your mind and shape your beliefs and actions without you even realizing it. One negative-minded worker can influence an entire group without uttering a single word." Hill, now understanding the significance, asked, "Is that why you emphasize the necessity of harmony in a mastermind alliance?" "Precisely," Carnegie affirmed. "When a group of individuals aligns their thinking with a common goal, their combined mental energy creates an incredible force. However, this alliance can only function when each member has disciplined control over their own thoughts. A mastermind group is only as strong as its weakest link." Hill then posed an essential question. How does one discipline their mind to achieve organized thinking? Carnegie leaned forward, his gaze firm. By forming definite thought habits. The mind is always forming habits, often unconsciously, but through self-discipline, You can redirect your mind's focus toward a purpose of your choosing. When a person has a compelling goal, an obsessional desire, they naturally develop thought habits that support that goal. This is the foundation of organized thinking. Hill smiled. So, definiteness of purpose is the starting point? Exactly, Carnegie exclaimed. Every great achievement begins with a definite purpose, carried out through a definite plan, but mere purpose isn't enough. Emotion must drive it. A man in love never forgets the object of his affection. If you apply that same intensity of emotion to your business or career goals, success becomes inevitable. Hill, eager to grasp every nuance, added, but one cannot always summon such emotions for material success. Carnegie chuckled. True, but there are other powerful emotions: ambition, desire for freedom, even fear. Each can be channeled toward productive ends. A man may strive for wealth, not just for himself, but to provide for his loved ones. That emotional connection strengthens his drive. Hill's mind raced with possibilities. Then, if someone can attach a strong emotional reason to their goal, they can develop the habits necessary for success? Exactly, Carnegie confirmed. Habits, once formed, become automatic. You don't have to force yourself to act. The habit takes over. That's why self-discipline is so vital. A person who drifts through life without clear goals lacks the necessary thought habits to succeed. But the moment he decides upon a definite purpose and commits emotionally to it, his mind begins to align with success. Hill sat back, absorbing the lesson. So the true key to success is not just working hard, but thinking in an organized, disciplined way, driven by a definite purpose and emotional motivation. Carnegie beamed. Now you understand. Success is not accidental. It is the result of controlled, organized thought. Master that, and you master life itself. As Hill left Carnegie's study that night, he knew he had received a lesson that would shape not only his future, but the lives of millions who would later read his works. The principle of organized thought was not just a philosophy, it was the key to unlocking human potential. Hill leaned forward, his eyes filled with curiosity. Mr. Carnegie, will you explain the greatest benefits of organized thinking for a man who wishes to make the most of his time and talents? Carnegie smiled, folding his hands. The benefits are so numerous that it is hard to know where to begin, he said. But let me tell you this. Organized thinking is the foundation of success. It allows a man to master his mind, to train his will to control his emotions, turning them on and off as needed. He continued, it forces a person to work with a clear purpose, eliminating procrastination and replacing it with decisive action. Without a plan, one blunders through life, hoping for the best, but often achieving little. With organized thinking, a man stimulates his subconscious mind to work toward his goals rather than be swayed by the negative influences of his environment. Hill nodded, scribbling notes furiously. So it builds self-reliance? Precisely, Carnegie affirmed. And more than that, it opens the door to the wisdom of others. Through the mastermind principle, a person can draw upon the experiences, knowledge, and insights of like-minded individuals. No man succeeds alone. Even the greatest minds lean on others for guidance. Hill paused, tapping his pencil against the notepad. You mentioned that organized thinking leads to better health. How so? Carnegie leaned back, his expression thoughtful. A mind occupied with productive thoughts has no room for self-pity or imaginary ailments. An idle mind, on the other hand, invites worry, fear, and illness. The body often follows where the mind leads. Hill sat back in his chair, absorbing the wisdom. It seems, then, that organized thinking is not just about work, but about life itself. It leads to peace of mind, happiness, and success. Carnegie nodded. Indeed, no man can be happy or successful without a plan for his time. Just as a garden will grow weeds if left untended, so will an unorganized mind become overrun with useless or harmful thoughts. Hill pondered this for a moment. Then, would it be fair to say that work and organized thinking go hand in hand? Carnegie smiled. Absolutely. Work is thought power translated into action. Thinking alone is not enough. It must be expressed through deeds. Hill leaned forward, intrigued. But what about a man who is forced to work at something he does not enjoy? Can he still apply organized thinking effectively? Carnegie's expression grew serious. A man will always be more effective when he does what he loves. That is why one's life purpose should be of his own choosing. A man who drifts through life doing work he despises will rarely find success beyond mere survival. True success comes when a man is so engaged in his work that it becomes his obsession. Hill nodded, seeing the truth in those words. Do you believe society will ever evolve to ensure that everyone can do work they love? Carnegie exhaled thoughtfully. I believe it will. Such a system would be beneficial to both the worker and the employer. A man who enjoys his work is far more valuable than one who labors only for a paycheck. Hill furrowed his brows. Shouldn't employers take responsibility for placing workers in roles they enjoy? Carnegie shook his head slightly. It is not always so simple. There are limited positions in every industry, and the most desirable jobs are often the fewest in number. The solution lies in improving employment systems, considering each worker's abilities, training, and preferences. Compensation could also be adjusted to incentivize less desirable work. Hill sighed. It sounds like a problem that must be addressed at the educational level, guiding young people toward careers suited for them. Carnegie smiled. You are beginning to see the bigger picture. Schools should align their teachings with industry needs, ensuring that they do not produce too many workers for some fields while neglecting others. Hill's eyes gleamed with understanding. So, the habit of organized thinking must start in schools, in industries, and in the individual himself. Carnegie nodded. Exactly. Ultimately, however, it is an individual responsibility. A man who neglects to organize his thinking must accept whatever life gives him. Success is always a result of an ordered mind. Hill leaned in. Then, where should one begin? Are there rules to follow for organizing one's thinking? Carnegie's voice lowered as he spoke with conviction. First, recognize that the power of thought is like dynamite. It can build or destroy. If not controlled, it will scatter aimlessly, leading to failure. Thought power is a gift from infinite intelligence, but it must be harnessed through disciplined habits. Hill listened intently as Carnegie continued. A man must also learn to gather accurate information. Guesswork and wishful thinking are unreliable. This is where the mastermind principle is essential, allowing one to draw from the knowledge of others. He leaned forward, his voice filled with emphasis. And never forget the power of spiritual alignment. When a man harmonizes his mind with that of a wise woman or trusted allies, he unlocks a higher level of thinking. The emotions of love and faith elevate one's mind beyond ordinary limits. This is why a truly successful man is never alone in his journey. Hill's curiosity deepened. Are you saying that by forming the right alliances, a man can tap into a force greater than himself? Carnegie's eyes gleamed. Yes. Organized thinking means utilizing every available advantage, mental, emotional, and spiritual. This is why successful men seem almost superhuman. They have mastered the art of thought. Hill hesitated. But what of those who misuse their knowledge, exploiting others? Carnegie's expression darkened for a moment before he responded. They seal their own fate. History is littered with the remains of men who sought to conquer through selfishness. Nero, Napoleon, Caesar. Their gains were fleeting. Only those who use thought power for good create lasting impact. Look at the Nazarene. His influence has lasted for centuries. Hill sat back, absorbing the weight of the lesson. Then there is no need to fear those who misuse their minds? Carnegie shook his head. None at all. The laws of nature correct such men in time. Civilization moves ever upward, and those who fight against it eventually fall. Hill sighed. But there are so few who truly understand this philosophy. Carnegie chuckled. That is why you are here, my friend, to teach it. Education is the key. Force may compel obedience, but only education inspires willing action. Men do best that which they desire to do. Hill grinned. So, it is better to inspire a man to follow the right path than to force him upon it? Precisely, Carnegie said. We adults are but children grown older. We resist force, but we embrace freedom. The most prosperous nations are those that value personal initiative and organized thinking. The American way of free enterprise is the closest model to nature's plan for human progress. Hill's heart swelled with understanding. Then, organized thinking is not just a habit, it is the very key to life's greatest achievements. Carnegie nodded with satisfaction. You have learned well, my friend. Thought, when properly organized and acted upon, is the force that shapes the world. Hill inquired, his pen poised over his notebook, ready to capture the wisdom about to unfold. Would you say, then, that organized thinking is a combination of knowledge and organized action in the expression of knowledge? Carnegie leaned forward, his eyes sharp with the certainty of experience. I would say precisely that. Knowledge, on its own, holds no value. It is like a lantern without a flame. Only when knowledge is set into motion through organized action does it become power. He paused, letting the words sink in. This is why a man who relies solely on book learning often finds himself lost when faced with real-world challenges. Hill nodded, but pressed further. But surely book learning is helpful? Carnegie smiled. Of course. It is the foundation upon which all education is built. But remember, a foundation alone does not make a house. A truly educated man is one who not only absorbs knowledge, but also applies it in shaping his reality. He is the one who can adapt any situation to his advantage through a blend of theory and practice. He gestured toward the window, where a bridge spanned a mighty river. A man could study engineering for years, reading every book on the subject, but if he has never set foot on a construction site, could you trust him to build a bridge? Theory alone would not guarantee its strength. A practical engineer, however, knows from experience how much weight a bridge can bear, how to reinforce its weakest points, and how to ensure its durability. The same principle applies to every field: salesmanship, law, medicine. No profession thrives on theory alone. Hill leaned in, intrigued. Then, could a man become a great salesman by reading books alone? Carnegie let out a hearty chuckle. The principle remains the same. Success in sales, as in life, comes from experience. A lawyer fresh from university is not yet a great advocate. A doctor with no hands-on training is no healer. True skill is forged in the fires of experience. And there is no school quite like the University of Experience, where there are no shortcuts, no cribbing, no deception. The only path to graduation is through merit. A man either learns through action or he remains forever unprepared. Hill pondered this and then ventured. So, if I understand correctly, organized thinking is developed through two key factors. First, the coordination between the mind and physical action through controlled habits, and second, collaboration with others under the mastermind principle to achieve a definite goal. Carnegie's expression grew serious. You are close, but you've left out the most critical factor: action. Thought without action is as useless as a ship without a sail. Perfection is attained only through habitually controlled actions. I emphasize this over and over not because I doubt you understand it, but because I have seen firsthand how long it takes for people to truly grasp its importance. He stood and paced the room, his voice rich with conviction. Many men fool themselves into believing they are thinkers. They say, I have been thinking about doing this or that, but I haven't figured out how yet. The problem? They have forgotten the essential ingredient: action. If you wish to do something, begin now, right where you stand. Do not wait for perfect conditions. The man who waits for all the tools to be in place will wait forever. He turned to Hill. When I first gave you the opportunity to develop a philosophy of individual achievement, you were not ready. You lacked schooling, funding, maturity, and practical experience. And yet, within 29 seconds, you accepted the challenge. That is the mark of a man who understands the value of action. I have watched countless men hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment, only to let opportunity slip through their fingers. Success belongs to those who decide quickly and act boldly. Carnegie pulled a pocket watch from his coat and held it up. I keep this watch to time a man's reaction to opportunity. It never lies. Your decision took 29 seconds. Had you waited just 31 seconds more, the chance would have been gone. I use this method because a man's endurance and commitment can be measured by the speed of his decisions. Quick, definite decisions are the hallmark of successful men. Hill, now deeply moved, concluded, so, organized thinking demands not only coordination and planning, but also decisiveness and action. Carnegie beamed. Exactly. Life is fleeting. Time is our most precious currency. The man who hesitates, even when he has all the necessary information, will always find himself overtaken by faster thinkers. The difference between success and failure often comes down to this. The man who succeeds may have less talent, education, or experience than the man who fails, but he has far more action consciousness. He pointed to the dam visible in the distance. Consider that dam. The water behind it has immense potential, but only the portion that is harnessed and directed turns the wheel and generates power. The rest, it spills over uselessly. A man's mind is no different. Most men let their thoughts drift like wasted water, never channeling them into action. But the man who harnesses his thoughts, organizes them, and puts them into motion, he is the one who turns the wheel of progress. Hill sat in silent reflection, absorbing the lesson. He knew, in that moment, that the secret to success lay not in endless contemplation, but in swift, purposeful action. And with that realization, he resolved to make every thought count, every decision swift, and every action deliberate. The lesson had been learned, not just in words, but in conviction. "Mr. Carnegie," he asked, "why do so few men learn to harness and use their thought power? From all you have said about organized thinking, I see nothing difficult about it. Yet, the vast majority of people go through life in poverty and misery, never tapping into the power that could give them everything they need or desire. Why is that?" Carnegie leaned back, a knowing smile crossing his face. "There is but one major reason for this," he said, "and I can state it in one sentence: lack of definiteness of purpose." Hill listened intently as Carnegie continued. Most people drift through life, accepting whatever comes their way without consciously directing their minds. A lack of a definite major purpose is the most dangerous form of self-limitation. History has proven that those who demand something definite find ways to get it, if they persist. And persistence requires one thing above all else: action. Carnegie's voice grew firmer. Action! 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 Let that word burn into your mind like the sun in a clear sky. Thinking, education, knowledge, and even opportunity are meaningless unless they are translated into action. Never let a student pass under your influence without engraving this truth upon his heart. To illustrate, Carnegie shared the story of a young life insurance salesman. This man is not the most experienced. He has less knowledge of insurance than many others, and even his personality is not the most striking. Yet, he leads the entire sales force of his company. Why? Because he has an indomitable will and an obsession with action. Hill leaned forward. What does he do differently? Carnegie chuckled. A simple thing, really. When he makes a sale, he persuades his client to provide a list of other potential buyers. He even encourages his clients to personally introduce him to their friends. In this way, he creates an endless chain of prospects, turning every satisfied customer into an unpaid assistant. His competitors know of this method, yet few adopt it. Why? Hill pondered the question. Why don't the other salesmen follow his example? Carnegie's eyes twinkled. Ah, if I could answer that, I would rename myself Solomon and dedicate my life to unraveling human mysteries. The truth is, most people simply lack the inner drive. They work with less determination, with less definiteness of purpose. The salesman who leads the pack does so because he wills it. His desire is an obsession, and he disciplines himself to act on it every single day. Hill nodded. Then self-discipline must be a key factor in achievement. Absolutely, Carnegie agreed. The top salesman disciplines himself through strict habits. When others sleep, he sells. When others play, he calls on clients. He has a schedule and he follows it relentlessly. His business is his obsession. His subconscious mind continues selling even in his sleep. He lives and breathes his purpose. Hill sat in thought for a moment before asking, So, obsessional desire plays a crucial role in organized thinking? Yes, Carnegie said firmly. It is the force that starts action and keeps it going. A man finds no difficulty in doing what he passionately desires. Obsessional desire helps a man recover from failure, keeps him from procrastinating, and removes the drudgery from labor. Hill brightened. That brings us back to mental attitude, doesn't it? If obsessional desire fuels action, then one's mental attitude is key. A man must cultivate the right influences to inspire him. Carnegie nodded approvingly. Exactly. A person's mental attitude is shaped by his associations. One cannot help but absorb the thinking patterns of those around him. That is why the wise man never wastes time with those who cannot help him grow. Hill frowned slightly. Isn't it selfish to only seek associations that benefit you? Carnegie shook his head. Not at all. A man insists on the best food for his body. Why not be just as careful about the food he gives his mind? Associations shape a man's success or failure more than most realize. Just as one would not drink from a poisoned well, one should not drink negative thoughts from bad company. Hill thought for a moment, then asked, if a man lacks ambition and imagination, how can he overcome these weaknesses? Carnegie smiled. That is the condition of most people. The first step to success is to awaken ambition. No one succeeds until they truly want something they do not yet have. And here is an important truth. Every successful man was influenced at some point by another person who fired his imagination. No one rises alone. Hill's eyes widened. You're saying every great success story has a turning point, an external influence that sparks ambition? Yes, Carnegie affirmed. It may come from a mentor, a friend, or even a book, but there is always a moment of awakening. The wise man deliberately seeks out those who can inspire him. Hill nodded slowly. So it is not just about avoiding negative influences, but also about actively seeking positive ones. Carnegie grinned. Now you're thinking like an organized mind. A man must carefully choose his influences, be it in business, family, or friendships. He must also recognize that every conversation, every thought, and every action reshapes his mental habits. Hill smiled. And persistence, too, must be part of organized thinking. Carnegie chuckled. Indeed. Persistence and action go hand in hand. The organized thinker never gives up. He keeps trying new strategies until he finds success. If one door closes, he finds another. The only real failure is quitting. Hill, inspired, stood up. Thank you, Mr. Carnegie. I now see that action, obsessional desire, mental attitude, and persistence form the foundation of success. Carnegie stood and shook his hand. Yes, my friend. And remember, burn the word action into your mind, for it is the key to all achievement. As Hill walked away, he knew he had received one of the most valuable lessons of his life, and he was determined to share this wisdom with the world. The power of controlled attention, unlocking limitless potential. Once upon a time in a bustling city filled with ambition and dreams, there lived a young man named Daniel. Like many others, he aspired for success, but despite his best efforts, he found himself trapped in an endless cycle of mediocrity. He worked hard, but his energy was scattered. He read books, attended seminars, and listened to advice from various mentors, but nothing seemed to bring him closer to his goals. One day, he encountered an old philosopher named Master Alaric, known for his wisdom in the ways of the mind. Intrigued, Daniel sought his counsel. Master, I work tirelessly, yet I find myself going in circles. Why do some people achieve great things while others struggle despite equal effort? The wise man smiled and handed Daniel a magnifying glass. Hold this up to the sunlight and focus on this piece of paper, he instructed. Daniel did as he was told. At first, nothing happened, but as he adjusted the magnifying glass, directing all the sunlight onto a single point, the paper began to smolder and soon caught fire. This, said Master Alaric, is the power of controlled attention. Scattered sunlight warms, but focused sunlight burns. Your mind is no different. Daniel pondered this deeply. But how does one control attention when distractions are everywhere? He asked. The art of directed thought. Master Alaric led Daniel to a quiet garden where a bamboo tree stood tall. This tree did not grow overnight. For years, it developed its roots beneath the soil before it ever broke the surface. Your mind, too, must be trained to focus before it can produce visible results. The philosopher then explained the key principles of controlled attention. Definite major purpose. You must have a clear, unwavering goal, he said. Success is not born of chance, but of purpose. Write your goal down, memorize it, and let it be the beacon that guides your actions. Elimination of distractions. Just as a sculptor removes excess stone to reveal a masterpiece, you must eliminate anything that does not serve your purpose. Social distractions, self-doubt, and negative influences dilute your focus. Mental conditioning. Your thoughts, when consistently directed toward your goal, create a mental frequency that attracts like-minded ideas, people, and opportunities. The mastermind effect. Two or more minds working in harmony for a definite purpose generate a power greater than the sum of their individual contributions. Andrew Carnegie used this principle to build his steel empire. Surround yourself with individuals who share your vision, and your power will multiply. The chemistry of the mind master Alaric then presented an analogy. Imagine that your thoughts are like chemical elements. Some thoughts mix harmoniously and create powerful reactions, while others are antagonistic and cancel each other out. Just as hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water, the right mental elements create ideas and actions that lead to success. However, introduce the wrong elements, such as fear, doubt, or negativity, and the reaction becomes toxic. Daniel realized that his past failures were not due to a lack of effort, but a lack of focused effort. His mind had been a chaotic storm of thoughts, constantly shifting from one pursuit to another without sustained attention. Determined to apply what he had learned, Daniel spent the next year refining his focus. He set a clear goal, eliminated distractions, and surrounded himself with people who uplifted and challenged him. He repeated his goal daily and trained his mind to reject thoughts of failure. Slowly but surely, his efforts bore fruit. Within a few years, Daniel became a leader in his field, renowned for his vision and determination. The final lesson. One day, he returned to Master Alaric and said, "I now understand. Controlled attention is the key that unlocks all doors. It is the difference between a wandering mind and an unstoppable force." The philosopher nodded. "Indeed, my young friend. The greatest battles are fought and won in the mind before they ever manifest in reality. Control your attention, and you control your destiny." And so, Daniel went forth, a testament to the power of controlled attention, using it to shape not only his own future, but to inspire countless others who, like him, once struggled to harness the true potential of their minds. Once upon a time, in a bustling city where ambition thrived, there lived a man named Jonathan Carter. He was not born into wealth, nor was he naturally gifted with extraordinary talent. But Jonathan possessed a deep hunger for success and an unshakable belief in the power of disciplined thought. One evening, as he sat in a quiet park reflecting on his life's direction, he came across an old book filled with principles of success. The more he read, the more he realized that the secret to achieving his dreams lay not in chance or external circumstances, but in mastering the philosophy of controlled attention and the law of harmonious attraction. The journey begins. Definiteness of purpose. Jonathan understood that without a clear goal, he was merely drifting through life. He decided with absolute clarity what he wanted: to build a business that would revolutionize the technology industry. He laid out a meticulous plan, visualizing every step toward his goal. With unwavering focus, he committed himself to his vision, directing all his energy toward his purpose. This definiteness of purpose began to transform his reality. He attracted ideas, people, and opportunities aligned with his mission. The power of the mastermind. Understanding that no great success is achieved alone, Jonathan sought out mentors and partners who shared his vision and brought complementary skills to the table. Together, they formed a mastermind alliance, a network of minds working in unison toward a common goal. This collective energy amplified Jonathan's confidence and creativity, pushing him further than he could have gone alone. Building unshakable belief. Applied faith. Despite obstacles and setbacks, Jonathan pressed on, driven by a deep-rooted faith in his mission. With each challenge, he reaffirmed his belief in his ability to succeed. Doubt and fear found no home in his mind. Instead, he replaced them with thoughts of victory. This unwavering belief fueled his persistence, making him unstoppable, going the extra mile. Jonathan knew that extraordinary success required extraordinary effort. He consistently did more than was expected. Whether it was delivering above-market solutions, providing unparalleled service, or investing extra hours in research. This dedication created goodwill, attracted influential allies, and solidified his reputation as a leader of excellence. Organized individual endeavor. A great plan is only effective when executed systematically. Jonathan meticulously organized his thoughts, structured his business operations, and made strategic decisions with precision. Every action was deliberate, ensuring his efforts yielded maximum results. His discipline and execution gave him a sense of control over his destiny. The strength of self-discipline. As success drew nearer, Jonathan mastered the art of self-discipline. He controlled his emotions, directing his energy toward constructive endeavors. He refrained from distractions, maintaining a laser focus on his goals. His ability to regulate his thoughts and actions set him apart from those who let impulsive reactions dictate their lives. Awakening creative vision. With his mind now conditioned for success, Jonathan's imagination flourished. Solutions to problems appeared effortlessly. Opportunities once invisible became evident. His subconscious mind, attuned to his aspirations, delivered insights and inspirations that accelerated his progress. The universe seemed to align in his favor, but Jonathan knew it was not luck. It was the result of his conditioned thinking. Organized thought, the art of precision. No longer did Jonathan make hasty decisions or rely on guesswork. Every move he made was backed by research, analysis, and strategic planning. He refined his thinking process, ensuring that his actions were guided by logic, experience, and foresight. His mental clarity became a force that influenced every aspect of his life. Learning from defeat. Jonathan did not fear failure. Each setback became a stepping stone, a lesson that strengthened his resolve. Instead of wallowing in disappointment, he extracted valuable insights from every failure and applied them to future strategies. This ability to turn adversity into advantage made him resilient beyond measure. Inspiration, the spark of enthusiasm, passion, radiated from Jonathan. His enthusiasm was infectious, inspiring his team and attracting investors, customers, and collaborators who believed in his mission. His vision was no longer just his own, it became a shared dream, fueling a movement that extended far beyond himself. The magnetism of an attractive personality. By the time Jonathan had mastered these principles, his personality had evolved into one that naturally attracted success. His confidence was genuine, his energy magnetic, and his presence influential. People gravitated toward him, eager to support and uplift his vision. He had become a leader in the truest sense, one who uplifted others while pursuing his own greatness. The final transformation. Jonathan Carter was no longer just a man chasing success. He had become the embodiment of controlled attention. He had conditioned his mind to operate at peak efficiency, aligning his thoughts and actions with the law of harmonious attraction. No longer at the mercy of external forces, he was the master of his fate, the architect of his destiny. And so, through this philosophy, Jonathan Carter's name became synonymous with success. His journey was a testament to the fact that anyone, armed with the right principles, can shape their reality, turn dreams into tangible results, and live a life of extraordinary achievement. So what about you? Will you take the first step toward mastering your own destiny? The 5 Principles of Mind Power, a Story and Teaching. It was a cold morning in January when John, a struggling entrepreneur, sat down at his desk, staring at the unpaid bills and the ambitious plans he had drawn for his business. He needed $50,000 within 60 days to keep his dream alive. Most people in his situation would either panic or resign themselves to failure, but John decided to approach his challenge differently, through the power of 5 fundamental principles. Definiteness of purpose. John knew exactly what he needed. It was not just money, it was the fuel to keep his dream burning. He set a clear goal, to raise $50,000 within 60 days through his business. This clarity of purpose was his foundation. Controlled attention. Instead of allowing himself to be distracted by worries or doubts, John focused entirely on solutions. He visualized himself already having the money, reinforcing his belief that a way would be found. Every waking moment, his mind was occupied with the means of achieving his goal. Self-discipline and control of emotions. Fear and doubt attempted to creep into John's mind. What if he failed? What if his efforts were in vain? But he refused to entertain these negative thoughts. He disciplined himself to replace fear with faith, uncertainty with determination. With a steady mind, he cultivated a positive outlook, ready to act. John repeatedly affirmed to himself, "I will raise the $50,000. I will find a way. The opportunity will present itself." This mental repetition shaped his thinking and directed his subconscious toward creative problem solving. He imagined himself celebrating the achievement of his goal, reinforcing his belief with vivid mental images. The power of will in action. He did not merely wish for the money, he took action. He explored every possible avenue, expanding his business network, refining his sales strategy, reaching out to potential investors, and even considering unconventional opportunities. His persistence was relentless, and he refused to accept failure. The miraculous result: days turned into weeks. John faced setbacks, but he never wavered. Then a breakthrough occurred. A longtime client, impressed by his dedication, introduced him to an investor willing to fund his project. The deal was struck, and the $50,000 was secured before the deadline. It was not magic. It was the power of his focused mind. Lessons from the greats. John's experience mirrors the path taken by history's greatest innovators. Thomas Edison, the inventor of the electric light bulb, once said, "One must fix his mind on that purpose with that sort of persistence which knows no such word as impossible." He combined these same 5 principles in his relentless pursuit of discovery. Alexander Graham Bell, while searching for a hearing aid for his wife, uncovered the principles that led to the invention of the telephone. He once remarked, "When a man gives his brain an order to produce a definite result and stands by that order, it seems to have the effect of giving him a second sight that enables him to see right through ordinary problems." Final thoughts. The principles of definiteness of purpose, controlled attention, self-discipline, autosuggestion, and willpower do not work in isolation. Their true power is in their combination. Together, they form a force capable of turning obstacles into opportunities, failure into success, and dreams into reality. For John, Edison, and Bell, and for you, the lesson is clear. The mind, when properly directed, has the power to achieve the seemingly impossible. John Wanamaker, the legendary merchant king of Philadelphia, was a man of vision, perseverance, and remarkable problem-solving abilities. His story serves as an invaluable lesson in the power of controlled attention, a principle that has guided some of the greatest minds in history. Wanamaker once recounted a pivotal moment early in his business career. He found himself in urgent need of funds to sustain his operations. Traditional banking and commercial channels were unyielding, and the weight of financial uncertainty loomed over him. Rather than succumbing to despair, he chose a different approach. He ventured out to the park, immersing himself in deep contemplation as he walked. With unwavering focus, he turned his mind entirely to the problem at hand, refusing to allow any distractions. He vowed not to return to his store until he had devised a solution. For 2 hours, he maintained this rigorous mental discipline. Then, suddenly, a breakthrough emerged. A single clear idea surfaced in his mind, an idea so powerful that within 15 minutes of returning to his store, he successfully raised the funds he needed. Reflecting on this experience, Wanamaker marveled at the phenomenon. Why had this solution not come to him immediately? The answer lay in the principle of controlled attention, his ability to harness his mental faculties with singular focus until the right answer presented itself. Wanamaker's story underscores a profound truth. No problem is truly unsolvable to the individual who learns to focus their mind with absolute determination. His experience echoes the philosophy of Dr. Elmer R. Gates, an esteemed scientist and prolific inventor of his time. Gates credited his ability to create over 200 inventions to an intrinsic power that emerged when he concentrated his mind on a specific goal. He described this process as engaging a sixth sense, a form of inward sight that allowed solutions to appear seemingly from the ether. This principle of controlled attention extends beyond the realm of business and invention. It played a crucial role in one of the most significant decisions in world history. President Woodrow Wilson, faced with the formidable challenge of responding to Germany's request for an armistice in 1918, knew that thousands of lives hinged on his response. Recognizing the gravity of the moment, he deliberately set aside logic and turned inward, seeking guidance beyond his conscious reasoning. As he stood on the White House porch with his eyes closed, he resolved to rely not just on intellect, but on a higher wisdom. Within minutes, clarity struck. He swiftly drafted his reply, and history later proved his decision to be sound. His experience illustrates that controlled attention, coupled with faith, can unlock extraordinary insights, even in moments of immense pressure. Indeed, history is rich with examples of individuals who achieved remarkable success by mastering the art of controlled attention. Alexander Graham Bell was driven by the challenge of his wife's deafness to invent the telephone. Henry Ford revolutionized the automobile industry by unwaveringly dedicating himself to his vision of affordable transportation. Andrew Carnegie built an empire by adhering to his principle: put all your eggs in one basket, then watch that basket closely. Likewise, business magnates such as Asa Candler of Coca-Cola, William Wrigley Jr., and King Gillette all recognized that focusing their attention on a singular goal was the key to their monumental achievements. They resisted the temptation to spread their energies too thin, understanding that true power comes from sustained, concentrated effort. Their commitment to a single vision enabled them to create products and companies that endured for generations. Thomas Edison, one of the greatest inventors of all time, exemplified this principle with unparalleled dedication. Despite having little formal education, he leveraged his ability to focus intensely on one problem at a time. This relentless pursuit of solutions led to groundbreaking innovations that transformed the world. Similarly, the Wright brothers dedicated years of concentrated effort to perfecting the airplane, despite skepticism and setbacks. Controlled attention is not merely about solving problems. It is about unlocking a source of power that enables individuals to achieve greatness. It unifies all faculties of the mind: the will, emotions, reason, imagination, and subconscious, directing them toward a single purpose. It is the mechanism through which the mind can tap into what some describe as infinite intelligence. This philosophy is not theoretical. It has been tested and proven by some of the most accomplished individuals in history. Whether in business, science, politics, or personal endeavors, those who learn to control their attention gain access to a reservoir of insight and strength that others overlook. It is the force behind every major breakthrough, every great invention, and every transformative decision. John Wanamaker's experience is not unique. It is a testament to a principle that anyone can apply. In moments of uncertainty, challenge, or crisis, the disciplined mind, the mind trained in controlled attention, will always find the way forward. The power of controlled attention is one of the greatest forces known to mankind. It is the ability to focus the mind's full faculties on a single definite objective, eliminating distractions, doubts, and hesitation. History provides us with striking examples of its impact, none more dramatic than that of a president who, in the face of national crisis, orchestrated a movement that transformed fear into faith, despair into determination, and economic collapse into recovery. A nation in peril. The country was gripped by fear. The echoes of a financial catastrophe had spread like wildfire, and a paralyzing uncertainty had settled upon the people. Businesses were shuttering, banks were failing, and unemployment soared. The people had lost confidence, not only in the economy, but in themselves. The president, an astute student of psychology, understood that before any material recovery could take place, the first battle had to be won in the minds of the people. His first action was a masterstroke of leadership. He gathered the leaders of both political parties and persuaded them to set aside their differences, uniting behind the singular goal of restoring national confidence. He then turned to the press, enlisting newspaper publishers and editors in a coordinated effort to shift the narrative from despair to hope. The clergy, regardless of denomination, were asked to spread messages of faith and resilience. Radio broadcasters joined the movement, rallying the nation through inspiring words and patriotic spirit. And finally, the president himself took to the airwaves with his now famous fireside chats, speaking directly to the American people, dispelling fear, and instilling confidence in the nation's ability to recover. The results were astonishing. Almost overnight, headlines of depression were replaced with stories of resurgence. The collective energy of a nation, when focused through the principle of controlled attention, turned an era of crisis into an age of rebuilding. The psychology of controlled attention. This principle does not apply only to nations. It is equally powerful for individuals. Just as a magnifying glass can concentrate sunlight to ignite a flame, a focused mind can burn through obstacles and illuminate solutions. Successful individuals throughout history have harnessed this force. Cyrus H.K. Curtis, the founder of the Saturday Evening Post, exemplified its power. When he first acquired the magazine, it was little more than a failing publication burdened with debt. With unwavering determination, he focused every ounce of his energy on his definite major purpose, transforming it into the most influential magazine in America. He faced relentless financial struggles, skeptical creditors, and repeated failures. Friends urged him to abandon the venture, but he refused to be swayed. His mind remained locked on his goal, undeterred by adversity. Years of unyielding dedication paid off. The Post became a publishing empire, a testament to the principle that unwavering focus breeds success. The perils of neglecting controlled attention. Most people, however, do not apply controlled attention. Instead, they allow distractions, procrastination, and fear to dilute their efforts. They push problems aside rather than confronting them head-on. Small troubles, left unattended, grow into insurmountable obstacles. The great psychologist William James once said, "The art of being wise is the art of knowing what to overlook." Yet in reality, true wisdom lies in knowing what to focus on with unrelenting intensity until resolution is achieved. The Mormons, a case study in focused perseverance. History offers many examples of groups that have leveraged controlled attention for collective survival and success. The Mormons, under the leadership of Brigham Young, provide a striking illustration. Persecuted and driven from their homes, they embarked on a grueling journey across the wilderness, settling in what is now Utah. Their early years were marked by famine, attacks, and hostility from the government. Yet, through unity of purpose, strict discipline, and unwavering focus, they overcame these hardships, building a prosperous, self-sustaining community. During the Great Depression, while millions depended on government aid, the Mormons declared self-sufficiency. Their ability to survive and thrive stemmed from their mastery of controlled attention. Forced by necessity to focus on survival, they later turned that same discipline into a strategy for prosperity. Today, their success is recognized worldwide, not as an accident of history, but as a deliberate application of a fundamental principle of achievement. The master key to success. What lesson can we draw from these stories? Whether in national leadership, business, or personal struggles, the principle remains the same. Where there is unwavering focus, backed by purpose and belief, extraordinary results follow. The power of controlled attention is within everyone's reach. It is the key that unlocks solutions to life's greatest challenges, the bridge between dreams and reality. As individuals, we must harness this force to shape our destinies. By focusing our minds on our highest ambitions and eliminating distractions, we create momentum that leads to inevitable success. History has shown us the way. The question remains, will we apply it? Prayer is Power, a story of transformation and faith. In a small, bustling town nestled between rolling hills, lived an elderly man named Samuel. He was known for his serene demeanor and unwavering strength, despite his humble circumstances. People often marveled at how he remained peaceful in times of turmoil, always offering a kind word and a patient ear. What was his secret? It was prayer. Samuel had not always been this way. In his youth, he was restless and full of worry, always seeking solutions through his own efforts and failing to find peace. When he faced a great personal loss, the passing of his wife, he found himself spiraling into despair. One evening, an old friend sat beside him and spoke softly, "Samuel, have you tried praying?" At first, Samuel scoffed. "What good is prayer? It won't bring her back. It won't change my suffering." His friend simply replied, "Prayer isn't just asking for things. It's connecting to something greater than yourself. It's surrendering your burdens, not just seeking solutions." That night, in his deepest grief, Samuel knelt and uttered his first sincere prayer. Not a plea for his pain to be erased, but a request for strength to endure it. The change was not immediate, but something stirred within him. He felt lighter, as if the weight of his sorrow had been lifted, even if only slightly. Days turned into weeks, and Samuel continued to pray. He noticed that his mind became clearer, his heart less burdened. His grief remained, but it no longer controlled him. He began to see life with new eyes, to appreciate small moments of beauty, and to extend kindness to others in their suffering. He discovered that prayer was not an escape, but a means of gaining power, power over his own mind, his emotions, and his fears. Over time, Samuel's life became a testament to the power of prayer. His friends and neighbors sought his advice, drawn to the quiet wisdom that radiated from him. He never preached, but when asked, he simply said, "Prayer is not about changing the world around you. It is about changing yourself. And when you change, the world around you begins to shift too." The science and spirit of prayer. Dr. Alexis Carrel, a renowned scientist, once said, "Prayer is a force as real as terrestrial gravity." Many dismiss prayer as mere words spoken into the void, but its effects on the human mind and body are profound. Studies have shown that prayer reduces stress, strengthens the immune system, and fosters a sense of peace. It aligns our thoughts with higher principles, cultivating patience, gratitude, and wisdom. Prayer is often misunderstood. Some believe it is simply asking for material things, a ritual for the desperate. But true prayer is a dialogue with the divine. It is an acknowledgement of something greater than ourselves, an act of humility and surrender that paradoxically brings immense strength. The transformative effects of prayer. Clarity and self-reflection. When one prays sincerely, they begin to see themselves more clearly. The distractions of life fade, and they recognize their own flaws and desires. Prayer fosters intellectual humility and a sense of moral responsibility. Inner strength and peace. Prayer is not an escape from suffering, but a means of gaining strength to endure it. Just as Samuel found solace after his loss, many discover that prayer fortifies them against life's storms. It grants patience in adversity and courage in uncertainty. A connection to infinite power. When we pray, we align ourselves with a greater force, the source of all wisdom and energy. This connection replenishes our spirit, just as sunlight nourishes the earth. Even without immediate answers, the very act of prayer instills hope and determination. Prayer as a way of life. Too often, people turn to prayer only in desperation, treating it as a last resort rather than a daily practice. But as Epictetus once said, think of God more often than you breathe. When prayer becomes a habit, it transforms every aspect of life. It is not about eloquence or perfection. Even the simplest, most inarticulate prayer is heard. What matters is sincerity. A wise monk once described prayer as looking at God while he looks at you. It is not just about seeking blessings, but about deepening a relationship. A person who prays regularly begins to exhibit a certain tranquility, a peace that is visible in their words, actions, and even their posture. The power of collective prayer. History has shown that when people unite in prayer with a common purpose, remarkable things happen. Communities heal, conflicts subside, and individuals find direction. Andrew Carnegie, a man known for his immense success, understood the power of unity and harmony in achieving great things. He recognized that just as a group must work in perfect harmony to achieve a goal, individuals must align their will with a higher purpose through prayer to unlock their full potential. A call to rediscover prayer. The world today is filled with noise, distractions, and turmoil. Many feel lost, searching for meaning in fleeting pleasures and material success. But the greatest source of power and fulfillment has always been within reach: prayer. It is the bridge between human frailty and divine strength, the quiet force that sustains lives, and the secret to inner peace and resilience. As Samuel learned, prayer does not eliminate hardship, but it transforms the heart. And a transformed heart can change everything. So let us not undervalue prayer. Let it be our refuge, not in weakness, but in strength. Let it be the force that lifts us beyond our limitations and connects us to the infinite source of all power. And as we pray, not just with our words, but with our lives, may we find the peace, wisdom, and courage to navigate this world with grace and purpose. Hill leaned forward, pencil poised over his notepad. "Mr. Carnegie," he began, "could you describe how controlled attention applies to practical life?" Carnegie, always a man of precision, smiled and adjusted his posture. "Let us first define it, young man. Controlled attention is the act of harnessing all mental faculties and concentrating them on the attainment of a definite purpose. It is not merely focus. It is directed, intentional thought sustained over time." He paused, allowing his words to settle before continuing. "Take my own case, for example. For many years, my mind has been dominated by one force, steel. not just producing it, but refining its processes, marketing it, and ensuring its place as the backbone of industry. But I do not do this alone. I surround myself with men who also direct their entire energies toward the same goal. This is controlled attention in its highest form, when the collective minds of many work as one. Hill, absorbing every word, pondered for a moment before asking, "But sir, could you not have managed other businesses just as successfully at the same time? Wouldn't the mastermind principle allow that?" Carnegie's expression turned serious. "Ah, yes, some men do manage multiple ventures. But mark my words, they would achieve far more if they focused on one. Divided attention weakens the power of any effort. The greatest achievements come from those who devote themselves entirely to a single pursuit." Hill considered this. "But what about doctors in general practice? Don't they earn more than specialists?" Carnegie chuckled. "On the contrary, if ever you need surgery, you will not seek a general practitioner but a specialist. When I required an appendectomy, I could have found an old country doctor who would have done it for a fraction of the cost, but I sought the best specialist available, because specialization commands value." The conversation flowed seamlessly from one field to another. Hill, fascinated by Carnegie's insights, asked if the same rule applied to retail businesses, banking, and even teaching. Carnegie affirmed each time. "The great department stores of today," he explained, "are not general stores of the past. They are collections of highly specialized departments, each managed by an expert in their field. Likewise, universities thrive not because one professor teaches all subjects, but because each professor focuses on one discipline." Hill nodded, seeing the pattern emerge. "And the young man or woman preparing for a career, should they specialize from the start?" Carnegie folded his hands together. "If they know their purpose, absolutely. But if not, they must first seek general education. Once they find their calling, they should specialize without hesitation." The conversation took many turns, touching on careers in politics, military service, and government roles. Carnegie's answer remained consistent. Success is best achieved through concentrated effort in a single direction. As the interview drew to a close, Hill asked one final question. "So, you believe in a one-track mind?" Carnegie smiled knowingly. "A man should have a multiple-track mind for gathering knowledge, but a single-track mind for applying it. Learn broadly, but act with singular purpose. That, young man, is the secret to success." Hill sat back, his notepad now filled with words that would one day guide millions. Carnegie's lessons on controlled attention were not just about business. They were a philosophy for life, a philosophy that would prove timeless. Mr. Carnegie leaned forward and said, "Knowledge gives one no power until it is organized and expressed in action. That requires concentration of effort." He paused, allowing Thomas to absorb the weight of his words. "A man may be a walking encyclopedia of general knowledge, but until he organizes it and applies it with purpose, it remains useless." Thomas listened intently, eager to understand how he could harness the power of knowledge effectively. Carnegie continued, "Controlled attention is the secret, my boy. Let me give you an example." He leaned back and smiled. "Think of a young man searching for a wife. He may meet many women, analyze their qualities, and consider his options. But once he finds the one who captures his heart, he no longer sees others the same way. His attention narrows, his efforts concentrate, and his actions follow suit. This is the power of focused intention. Whether in relationships, friendships, or business, concentration of attention leads to lasting bonds and repeated successes." Thomas nodded, intrigued. "So you're saying that most people fail because they lack focus?" Carnegie chuckled. "Precisely. Many develop a failure consciousness by concentrating on their doubts, fears, and bad habits, procrastination, indecision, and indifference to opportunity. Through autosuggestion, these negative thoughts shape their reality. On the other hand, those who fix their minds on success, with definite purpose and disciplined action, inevitably attract opportunities that lead them forward." Thomas leaned in, fascinated. "So, thought alone doesn't create results, but rather it attracts circumstances that bring those thoughts to life?" Carnegie nodded. "Yes, thought inspires action, and action creates results. Let me tell you a story." He gestured toward a framed photograph on his desk. "Years ago, I promoted a young man to a high executive position. He was shocked, calling it a miracle. But was it really? That young man had unknowingly prepared for that promotion long before it came. He arrived at work early, stayed late, and often returned at night when extra work needed to be done, without being asked. He took a night course to improve his skills, and he carried himself with enthusiasm, inspiring those around him. His success was no miracle, it was the natural result of his habits. Thomas sat back, reflecting. So, success is earned before it is given. Exactly, Carnegie said. Luck or chance may determine the timing of an opportunity, but not the opportunity itself. Men who prepare themselves inevitably rise to where they belong, just as water flows downhill. Thomas thought about his own habits. Had he been waiting for success rather than preparing for it? He realized he needed to apply controlled attention, not just in learning, but in action. Carnegie continued, controlled attention doesn't just help in career advancement. It also disciplines the mind, eliminates fear and doubt, and sharpens focus. It is, in essence, a form of self-hypnosis. A man who masters it can channel his energy entirely toward his goals, leaving no room for distractions. Thomas nodded, feeling a sense of clarity he had never experienced before. So the key to rising above mediocrity is developing an obsession for a single purpose? Carnegie smiled. Yes, the most successful people in history have always been one-idea people. They concentrate their efforts so intensely on their goals that they burn a hole through any obstacle. As Thomas walked home that evening, he realized he had been scattering his attention across too many things. That night, he made a decision. He would define his purpose, channel his knowledge into action, and focus his energy on mastery. And from that moment, his life began to change. The industrialist Andrew Carnegie leaned back, his expression calm and knowing. Hill spoke first. Now I see why you call controlled attention the master key. It opens doors to solutions for our problems while also unlocking opportunities. Carnegie nodded approvingly. Precisely. Controlled attention acts as both a gatekeeper and a guide. It locks out distractions and unwanted influences while opening the path to what we truly desire. Hill pondered this. So, would it be correct to say that controlled attention is powerful because it creates the mindset of faith? That is true, Carnegie replied. But controlled attention does more than prepare the mind for faith. It fuels action. It ignites enthusiasm, initiative, discipline, clarity of purpose, and creative vision. It magnetizes the mind with one's dominant goals and aspirations, making it constantly search for anything that will help achieve them. Carnegie leaned forward and painted a vivid picture with his words. Imagine a man who decides he wants a better job. The moment he commits to this goal, his mind starts working in ways it hadn't before. He scans the job listings, networks with friends, and begins strategizing. His imagination sharpens. New ideas come to him. The more he focuses on his goal, the wider his search extends, and eventually he finds the opportunity he seeks, often from an unexpected place, but always as a result of his focused attention and actions. Hill nodded, understanding more deeply. So, concentration on a purpose engages the subconscious mind in crafting ways to fulfill that purpose. It's like a detective following a trail. The more focused he is, the clearer the clues become. Carnegie smiled. Exactly. The best detectives solve crimes not because they have superior intelligence, but because they observe and analyze details others miss. The same principle applies to success in any field. Controlled attention allows a person to see opportunities that remain invisible to the unfocused mind. Hill was struck by a new realization. If observation is so crucial, how does one develop this power? Through habit, driven by a strong motive, Carnegie answered. When a man adopts a definite purpose and fuels it with passion, he begins to notice everything that can help him. Think of a seasoned police officer patrolling his beat. He notices details that an ordinary passerby would overlook. Or consider the Native American tracker who can follow a trail invisible to the untrained eye. Their survival depends on their awareness. Likewise, most successful individuals have owned their powers of imagination, initiative, and perseverance because they were driven by necessity. A man without a compelling reason to grow remains stagnant, but a man with an urgent motive becomes a force of nature. Hill's mind raced with ideas. Then this applies to education as well. A student with a strong reason to learn will absorb knowledge far better than one who studies out of fear of failure. Carnegie beamed. You've touched on a great truth. The best teachers don't coerce students. They inspire them with meaningful motives. This principle also applies to leadership in business and parenting. The most effective leaders awaken motivation in their people, leading them to action willingly. Carnegie continued, Look at your own mission, Napoleon. You aim to distribute a philosophy of achievement. Why will people embrace it? Because it aligns with their deepest desires: wealth, love, freedom, recognition, and security. You won't need to force people to study it. They will be drawn to it. Hill smiled, seeing his path clearer than ever. Then, the habit of controlled attention will not only help students of this philosophy, it will train them to concentrate on achieving their greatest desires. Carnegie's voice carried a note of certainty. Precisely. And once a man learns to focus his mind, the effects ripple into every area of his life. Hill then posed another question. Mr. Carnegie, given that this philosophy is for people living in America, could you explain why concentrated effort is especially necessary for success under our economic system? Carnegie's eyes gleamed as he launched into a deeper analysis. America offers unparalleled freedom and opportunity. Our system allows any individual to market their talents in proportion to their value to others. It is a system built on concentrated power pooled together by the people to create a structure that guarantees individual liberty and economic freedom. Hill considered this. So, the vast opportunities available are a result of the collective concentration of effort by the people? Carnegie nodded. Yes, the concentration of many creates the privilege of concentration for the individual. Our economic structure, based on free enterprise, rewards those who take initiative. It ensures that each person is paid according to their talent, education, and ingenuity. The system encourages purpose, initiative, and organized effort, which are all principles of success. Carnegie continued, Consider the industries in this country. Ownership is spread among the people through corporations. Anyone can invest, own shares, and even use those shares as collateral for borrowing money. The workforce is divided into management and labor, but the door of opportunity remains open to those who seek advancement. Talented individuals are always in demand. Many companies have talent scouts searching for the next great leader. This structure provides the perfect environment for those who wish to rise. Hill's excitement grew. Then a person who applies the principles of this philosophy will naturally rise in this system? Without a doubt, Carnegie affirmed. That is why this philosophy is being organized, to give people the knowledge they need to concentrate their energies on their ambitions and make the most of the American way of life. Hill, now thoroughly convinced, asked one final question. Do you see any need for improvements in the system itself? Carnegie's face grew thoughtful. Not in the system, but in the people operating it. The system is sound because it maximizes personal freedom and rewards initiative. The greatest improvement needed is for individuals to develop themselves, to master focus, discipline, and initiative. That is the true purpose of this philosophy, to equip individuals to fully enjoy the benefits of this system by learning how to serve it effectively. Hill sat in quiet reflection, absorbing the profound wisdom. So the greatest secret to success is to direct all of one's energy toward a definite major purpose within this system? Carnegie smiled. Yes, that is the heart of the philosophy of achievement. Learn to control your attention, and you will master your destiny. Their dialogue was more than just words. It was a lesson in the forces that shaped a nation. Hill asked, Mr. Carnegie, what do you believe is the greatest danger that may disrupt the harmony of human relationships in the American way of life? Carnegie stroked his beard thoughtfully before answering. The greatest danger comes from a small but vocal group who promote socialistic ideas. They misunderstand the power of consolidation, of pooling resources for the greater good. They believe that wealth should be divided equally among individuals, failing to see that without concentrated effort and capital, the very progress they enjoy would vanish. Hill nodded, encouraging Carnegie to continue. Imagine an army where every soldier acts independently, without direction. Chaos would ensue. The same applies to industry. The American way of life thrives on structured leadership, where power is concentrated in the hands of chosen leaders, not self-imposed ones. This system allows us to create railroads, automobiles, homes, luxuries, and necessities that elevate our standard of living. Hill pressed further, so you believe in concentration of power, but only when it is administered through leaders chosen by the people? Carnegie smiled. Exactly. Our industrial system is democracy in action. Management is selected based on merit, education, experience, and ability. If a leader fails, he can be replaced. This mirrors our government, where leadership is entrusted to those who have earned the confidence of the people. The balance between government, industry, and economy forms the foundation of the American way of life. Hill, ever the philosopher, pondered for a moment before asking, "What would you say is the greatest virtue of the American way of life?" Carnegie's eyes twinkled with conviction. Liberty, the freedom for each individual to carve their own path, to pursue their ambitions, to accumulate wealth based on their contributions. Unlike other systems that suppress personal drive, America rewards it. We are the richest, the freest, and the most powerful nation because we encourage people to rise through their own efforts. Hill then posed a thought-provoking question. Would you say, then, that America is the greatest example of the power of concentrated human endeavor? Precisely, Carnegie exclaimed. Our government, our economy, our industries, all are testaments to the strength of unity and coordinated effort, and those who align their thinking with this system enjoy peace of mind and prosperity. Hill grinned. So your advice to Americans would be to embrace and maximize the opportunities provided by this system? Carnegie nodded. Indeed, those who believe they have a better system should test it in their own lives first. If they can prove their way is superior, others will follow willingly. However, history tells us that those who have tried socialistic experiments have failed, ultimately returning to the security of our current system. Hill leaned in. Why do these socialistic systems fail, Mr. Carnegie? They seem to emphasize collective effort, which aligns with the idea of coordinated power. Carnegie sighed. Many reasons. First, they lack the profit motive. Without incentive, people lose initiative. Second, they strip away self-determination. When you remove a man's ability to carve his own destiny, you drain his enthusiasm, imagination, and discipline. Third, they lack the immense consolidation of capital and manpower that fuels the American system. Without these, true progress is impossible. Hill pondered this. So, the failure of socialistic experiments stems from their inability to inspire the same drive that fuels individual achievement. Correct, Carnegie affirmed. The American way of life thrives because it rewards ambition, creativity, and effort. Other systems stifle these qualities, resulting in stagnation. Hill, ever the seeker of balanced wisdom, challenged, "Yet, Mr. Carnegie, there have been successful cooperative societies. How do you differentiate them from socialistic failures?" Carnegie's face lit up with understanding. Ah, now you're talking about something entirely different. Cooperation is not socialism. In fact, it is one of the very principles that make the American system so effective. Cooperation allows people to work together without sacrificing personal ambition or free enterprise. Socialism, on the other hand, removes the very motivation that drives men to excel. He leaned back and concluded, "Controlled attention, Napoleon, is essential to a democratic free enterprise system. In a socialist system, that focus is discouraged, even eliminated. The power of the American way lies in its ability to blend cooperation with the ambition of the individual. This is why it stands unmatched in its prosperity and freedom." Hill sat back, absorbing the wisdom of Carnegie's words. Their conversation was more than a debate. It was a masterclass in understanding the forces that shape nations. And as the evening stretched on, Hill knew one thing for certain. The principles they discussed would guide thinkers and leaders for generations to come.